Welcome to another episode of The Stream Room. It's the podcast about content creation by content creators for content creators. And you may be asking yourself, how long will this last? Will streaming die out? Will it be bought by Elon Musk and, I don't know, go into the ether? And especially with Adin Ross getting banned, is it going to be a forever thing? We're going to ask those questions today and hopefully give you an answer. We are the Digital Buskers and I am one of your hosts, Reapz.
Hello, I'm Eljayem, and I think I'll probably dry up and fall off in the next 6 months.
And I'm Nick Tacular. You probably have never heard of me anyway.
You've heard of can't fall off. We never get banned.
Exactly.
Don't know who we are. Boys, how has your week
don't
been? It was very exciting news, as we said, literally hours ago. Twitter has apparently agreed to the deal that Elon Musk set forward as being sold for, what, $60-something billion?
I think 69 billion, but also there's like 4 numbers rolling around out there. One of them's a meme number that he said himself, but the actual number could be like 50 to 59 million.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
But it is wild. It is
Silly
wild,
amounts of
isn't it?
money.
Yep.
Well, like I guess it's it is the age of tech giant consolidation, right? When you think about it in the grand scheme of things. You know, like YouTube is trying to consolidate all the different platforms into their own built-in features, you know, because they've got the funding of Alphabet behind them, which is wildly powerful, you know, like Susan Wojcicki is out there doing her thing. And, you know, we've got Amazon bought Twitch all those years ago. And I think it's just going to slowly consolidate until we're on this one metaverse that isn't the Facebook metaverse because they're screwed.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like a real metaverse, the original theory of the metaverse.
Yeah,
know?
I like that. I think that's very cool. But also, there's a lot of backlash at the moment to go a little off course, but with Netflix, obviously, a lot of people are abandoning ship. They're going to bring in commercials, apparently. It really is just shows how quickly things can drop off because like a year ago, 2 years ago, Netflix was the be all end all in terms of streaming services. And now people are like, I don't give a crap. It's too expensive. There's barely anything on it. And, you know, Disney Plus is coming in. So you're right with all these conglomerates and stuff. Things change very, very quickly in the tech landscape.
I'll tell you what about Netflix. Someone may say to me that I've lost touch with the common man by saying this statement. All right. But I think this statement shows that I am the common man because I was tricked.
Okay.
I think someone who's lost touch with the common man would have known this happened. I didn't know that Netflix over the past year has raised its prices like 2-3 times. I didn't know that I was paying $23 a month for Netflix. I had no idea, which you might be thinking again, how do you not notice that? Well, you know, maybe I have, but I don't think I've lost touch. I think I was tricked and I am the common man. So I've canceled. I've actually canceled. I said, I'm out. Netflix, I won't be paying this and I shan't be paying this. Crunchyroll, I'm still paying for because Funimation is now joining them. So all those shows are coming over the next year.
Yep.
So I consolidate there, cancel my Funimation subscription, which by the way, can we talk about how every time these things get consolidated, they often become shitter? Like that's like a fact, right? They just become worse.
They do.
LJ, how long have you been subscribed to like Funimation? Because if you remember, like how, because I was subscribed to Anime Lab, and then they moved over to like it was like, oh, we're combining with Funimation in Australia, New Zealand. Oh, now we're going back to Anime Lab. It's like this constant flip flop.
So I was an Anime Lab subscriber. I was a weeb. I have been for a long time because it was the only place you could watch Blue Exorcist and a few other things originally, right? And this is just on the idea of like consolidation tech. And when they switched over to Funimation, they made the app shit. Like you couldn't use it when they switched it over. They literally couldn't. And this is someone who's worked with Funimation ANZ as a streamer. I'm open to saying this. Funimation, you fucked Anime Lab. It's really bad. And I think that's going to happen on every platform. When companies come in and buy something and they consolidate it or they change it, it tends to get worse. Look at Tumblr as a social media, right? Like Tumblr was this weird bastion of porn and cozy vibes and weird stuff. Yeah. And then Yahoo bought it. And pretty much everyone on Tumblr was like, Yahoo bought us? Wow. We're going to devalue this platform very quickly by leaving. And they did devalue it. Did you guys see recently Tumblr bought in Boost Your Post?
No.
They did it in a really smart way. So everyone is angry at Twitch for the boost your streams systems that they tried to work on. Twitch is working on it. They're trying to find a good way to do it. They're probably never going to find a good way because essentially it's shot, right? People don't like the concept, and no matter what they do, no one's going to come across on it. But Tumblr brought out a very similar version of the boost where you can put a post out, you can boost it, but it won't go to any specific key demographic. You can't choose a key demographic. You can't choose anything. You can just choose en masse to send it out to as many impressions as you want, right? And Tumblr viewers and Tumblr users love it. They love it because in their head, they're like, I would never pay to boost a post to a key demographic, but I'll tell you what I would do. I would pay to boost a shit post to about like thousands and thousands of people where it's just a rhino with explosive diarrhea.
Right.
And so that's what it is. So it's like $10 or something to boost. And they're just sending absolute meme troll posts to thousands of people.
That's actually kind of genius on their behalf. And they probably know this. They had good intentions maybe at the start to be like post to within your community or within your demo. And then they're like, you know what? Let's not post within our demo. And then they're like, as long as we get the money, you can do whatever you want with these booster posts. So that's pretty decent.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I was gonna say, should we post that very real photo of us with our shirts off on Tumblr and do that boost feature and just see how many people it can reach?
Yeah.
Well, I actually got that very real photo from our Tumblr, sexyboys_sex.
Yes.
You're a member too? I thought I was the only one.
We've gotten a little off track, but before we go any further, let me throw it out there. Guys, if you have any questions, you want us to cover anything in particular, please comment it down below or tweet it to us on our Twitter as well. We check all that. Nick's over on our Twitter reading everything that comes through, and I'm here on the YouTubes. And Reapz gets sent it all to him and Consolidate, and he goes, "I hate these people," which is why he doesn't handle social media.
Pretty much. I'm just, I'm an old boomer. Yeah. But what we were going to say is that we are hoping to do a podcast in the future where it's all just your questions. So instead of a theme, let us know, and we will answer everything that is on your mind within the one compact, hopefully, podcast/vodcast.
Even if you feel like we've already covered it,
yes,
we can cover it again, and we will do questions at the end. There are a few questions that have come in, but today we're talking about how long this will last, because they say that large streamers only get 2 to 3 years in the spotlight, really, when they're at their peak. But small streamers and people our size, which I would consider us small streamers, which I know a lot of people don't like saying that about people who sit around 100 viewers, but I would consider us small streamers.
Yep.
I think that for us, we have a longer lifespan in general to sit at 100 viewers, but at the same time, we only have like a certain window of whether or not this is going to be successful for us and how we're going to diversify, right? Someone else gets to 5,000 viewers, they make a bunch of money. They're good if in 2 years' time they fall off.
Yep.
For us, it's more like we're working a consistent day job and we need to put a fuckload of money away somehow or else we're screwed, right?
Dead on the money there. You are completely right. It very much is kind of a war of attrition at times, where it's basically, sometimes you get like a good month and you get like a good kind of pay outcome. You're like, sick, I feel on top of the world. This is paying dividends. And then there's the other months where it's like slim pickings and you're like, oh my, I'm glad I put that money away so that I can, filter it back into what has to be paid. So I think you're very correct there. And you see it as well. You go back 5 years, when Ninja was the big thing. And then before that, it was Summit. And, you keep going back and back and back. And they're still at a crazy amount of numbers, but you would say that they've dropped off in terms of what they previously were.
I think that's a bad thing. I think everyone falls off to a degree. And also, I think one of the things a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of YouTubers and I think content creators don't realize, is that as long as you keep your core base, you're actually kind of fine. I think you can always come back from falling off. I actually think you can, and I think one of the cool ways you can look at this as well, right, is you look at creators like Ashland Lol or any number of creators who have made it big. And you can see they've streamed to 100, sometimes 50, sometimes 20 viewers for years. And then they just boom. They just get a couple opportunities, couple good videos, and it suddenly clicks and they understand it and they just boom.
Yep.
So the way I look at it, right, is for me, I go, if I spend a month and I release a bunch of videos, which to transition this into my week of streaming, I actually was able to stream. I was able to stream. My internet didn't crap the bed. And when it did crap the bed, I dropped my bitrate to 4,000 bits.
Yep.
Gave it 20 minutes, put it back up to 6K, and I was good to go. So what I figured out was essentially my upload speed's fine. My connection is fine. The Twitch server issue is now solved. This is a new issue that I have, and it's manageable now, which is great. But I was actually able to stream. So it was fun to be back into it. And I learned essentially the entire industry has fallen off by about 30 to 40%. Unless you have a big external funnel, unless you have a front page embed, unless you have a website embed, pretty much you at the start of this month would have seen a 30 to 40% drop in some format, which is super interesting to see. I thought it was just because I'd been away for so long because of the issues. But I came back and I was feeling a bit crappy about it. And I was talking to Iona, who's a fantastic partner who I'd love to have on the show as well. And they said, you're an idiot. Go look at everyone else's numbers.
Yeah.
And I went and looked at I looked at 24 different partners around our size. And the only one I looked at who hadn't seen a 30 to 40% drop was Out Reapz.
Oh, that's because I paid them to put me on the front page.
Yeah.
That
You
makes
know what I
sense.
mean?
That
Like, I
makes
think it was the
sense.
sponsored thing that made it like go up there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was really, really interesting. Like legitimately, like everyone I looked at, like even Iona, who's been so focused on Animal Crossing, has gone from like easy 200, 220 average viewers down to like 140, 150 in Animal Crossing, right? Like
It's happening
everyone
across
is seeing
everywhere.
it.
Yeah.
Substantial drop. Yeah.
Even on, and you can see it on the YouTube as well. Like, so we use tools to check total search traffic.
Yeah.
And you can see like the last month, like search traffic's just gone, like we've seen it steadily declining. Everyone has seen it steadily declining as the pandemic has ended.
Yep.
But the entire industry now in this literally in these last like 2-3 weeks has just like overnight dropped off. And it's really because officially now everyone's back at work. There's nothing, there's no wild stuff going on. So I was actually able to stream, but I am realizing that, and I want to talk about this a little bit in the terms of how long we can go, right? So my week in streaming, this is how I'm going to circle it back to be on topic. I realized why I've been feeling kind of burnt out and a bit pointless and why I've been struggling. It's fucking clicked for me. And it's not me who's clicked it. It's my wife pointed it out to me and said, how did you not know this? You're an idiot. In like a loving way, because she's
great.
brilliant. Yeah. I will throw words that are in my brain at her and she'll go, this is the order they were supposed to be in. This is what you're meaning. And I go, oh, wow. Every video that's ever gone viral has started with a one-line idea in the shower. I get out of the shower and I go, Claire, what about this? And she goes, yeah, but if you do it like this, it'll probably work better. Oh!
Is she getting royalties for this?
Yeah, I hope so.
She's still studying, so I cover all the rent. So we're good.
Okay,
All right.
Okay, fair play.
She'll pay me back when she has a full-time job. Speaking of people who I'm not going to be able to work in 2 years when this all dries up. So she'll cover me.
Oh,
then,
no,
right?
yeah. You're doing this.
That's it.
It's a long play. But anyway, essentially, I was talking to Iona, I was talking to Claire, and I said, like, I don't know what happened like 6-7 months ago, but I just started feeling like some streams felt pointless.
Yep.
Like they just felt kind of pointless. And I just felt like maybe being a YouTuber was a better job for me, right? And streaming just starting to feel really crappy. I still enjoyed it, but it was much harder to enjoy it.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And I kind of covered this last week and on the podcast with Mads, and Mads is also a part of the reason on that podcast why I helped understand this. But I was talking to Iona, I was talking to my wife, I was talking to all these people, and I said, I don't know what happened like 6-7 months ago. And everyone was like, wasn't that about when you changed your entire content strategy so that you were focusing on the idea of turning streams into YouTube content? And it kind of like hit me and I was like, yeah. Before that, I was really just trying to make good quality content. I didn't care if in 60 days the VOD disappeared. I just wanted to make entertaining content, have fun with my community and use this engagement tool and make, good streams. I didn't give a crap, I wasn't living under this idea of this is pointless. But 6 to 8 months ago, whatever it was, I was stagnating at that 200 viewers and I was trying to figure out how to push through that. And I felt like I had to adapt and evolve because otherwise I was going to fall off and just fail. But that adaptation and evolving to try and focus on YouTube content actually kind of screwed me because then I fell off because I was no longer like enjoying the normal everyday content I was doing because I felt pointless.
Yeah.
And it made me realize how detrimental some of the advice that you get given, and this isn't me having a go at Harris or Devin or any of those guys. I think their advice makes sense. I think Ludwig's advice makes sense, but I don't think it makes sense for everyone, right? And I think personally for me, when I started making it so that YouTube content needed to be created from streams and streams had to be YouTube content or else I was shouting to the void and people kept pushing that on me. And I was like, okay, I agree now. I didn't agree for like 2 years now, but I agree. Then it just made all of my streams that I wasn't making YouTube content. I felt like I was pointless.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess I only really realized that's how I was feeling since the Mads podcast and since talking to people. And what do you boys think about that? Like, do you feel like that's something that could be common?
Definitely. I definitely do. I think you also hit the nail on the head there is that people work differently in creative processes. So I know that when I'm streaming, my strengths are definitely interactivity with the chat. I read, as much as I can, skip the ones that you obviously, Add nothing to it.
You just skip me over and over.
As soon as you come out, I'm like, this motherfucker right here with his boobies and his fucking... Anyway, but it is. I think that Ludwig, when he did streaming, he came in it from a YouTube perspective, because I think there are two different content creators when it comes to that. There's the YouTube perspective and then there's the Twitch perspective, right? And a lot of people who go on Twitch want to do that interactivity. They want to, kind of create content in the now. While Ludwig was very much of the thing of like, I want to be a YouTuber first and then a streamer. So I'm going to make sure that this funnel of Twitch goes into my YouTube rather than the other way around, where it's where YouTube into Twitch, things like that. So it very much is this kind of thing of like, we talked about this many times on the podcast, that when you do your YouTube segments on the stream, you don't want to get distracted by your chat, because then it makes the editing harder. It just becomes really wishy-washy, and there doesn't seem to be like a directive going through. But when you go, okay, I'm just going to do what I do and stream, and then even though editing is going to take fucking forever, at least I'm going to be more in the moment and at least hopefully more engaging to the people watching. Because I noticed that as well, LJ. When I do my YouTube segments, people usually vote in the polls and stuff. But in terms of my chat, not much going on. There isn't that kind of liveliness or that kind of vigor that kind of boosts me up to be like, okay, this is working, this is working. So I think you're dead on the money there. It's where you value seeing yourself and how you're going to get there.
I have a new theory as well, which I can go into about this in a second if, Nick, you had something to say. I saw you open your mouth, and I'm curious about your thoughts as well on this. So you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's very much... So in Ludwig's case, he, from the very beginning, he was making that content for the collective, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas I think for all of us, it's like we went through the interactivity path, and then we've tried to dip our toes into that content for the collective, right? And so you do this every now and then, and sometimes it could throw people off because they're used to that heavy interactivity, and all of a sudden tonight you're doing something that's going to be for YouTube, and sometimes people understand, oh, this is just for tonight. But then if they see it regularly, sometimes it could put people off. And I think that's what it is as well. It's that it could be the fact that, you wanted to make that shift, but a lot of people, I guess weren't vibing with it as much. And maybe that's why things sort of had changed.
I think it was because I didn't enjoy it. I know this sounds so strange, but I don't think I enjoyed the YouTube content that I felt like my streams had to make into. I don't think that was the type of YouTube content I wanted to make. I don't think that was the type of stream content I wanted to make. Mm-hmm. I also don't think that while I was making it on stream, it was enjoyable to me, right? Like doing tier lists and stuff have always been very fun, but I felt like when I did the tier lists for YouTube, I had to shift it, and I didn't enjoy the process as much anymore. Mm-hmm. It was still fun, but it wasn't the same feeling. But I have a new theory in regards to YouTube, and it's actually my old theory in regards to YouTube. So Stream Scheme originally blew up because I had an original take on how to grow on YouTube and Twitch. And my original take was not that original. It was, you don't have to do YouTube. You can do other things as well to get to your first 25 average viewers, which is true. I honestly believe you don't need a YouTube channel to get to even 50. You can actually make good content and network and do stuff, right?
Yeah.
But and then for the YouTube stuff, when I told people how to grow on YouTube, I told them, hey, if you want to do this, focus on search. Focus on search, focus on trend jacking, focus on VSEO, do all these things. Make content specifically for YouTube. Don't bother about the stream highlights and stuff like that. But over the last 8 months on Stream Scheme, if anyone's watched it, they'll see the advice has shifted into talking about how to turn streams into YouTube content. I think that is absolutely a viable approach for a lot of creators, and some people will see a lot of success there. But my new theory and my new approach, if anyone asks me, I think YouTube content shouldn't be streaming content. If you're our size, I don't think you should be recording your stream and turning it into a video, because your core audience who have subscribed to your YouTube channel from your stream have likely already seen the content, and they don't want to watch an edited down version. Or if they do click it, they just do it to comment on it and show you support, and they leave at the 20%, 15% mark, hurting the retention rate, meaning the video never actually goes off. And every time we put ! new video in our title and tell people to click it, they're going over there, commenting, and then leaving because it wasn't served to them in browse. It was us sending them there during a stream. These are stream viewers who have already seen the content, who don't want to watch it again, or just want to try and support by commenting, right? I am a firm believer now that I think that if you want to grow on YouTube and you want to grow a channel on YouTube from scratch as a streamer, you need to make original content purely for that YouTube channel offline. Like I'm a staunch believer in this now, because when I look at the creators who I follow, yes, some of them are able to do the stream highlights, but the vast majority are never able to pull it off. Because if you think about it, right, the stat is that we came out this week was if you get 100 views on your YouTube channel, then 700 impressions the following week will happen on average. So 100 views will get you 700 impressions to new people, right? If those 700 impressions are people going, brand new people who have no idea who you are, if your thumbnail isn't the best thing ever, they're not going to click. They don't care about your personality-driven content, like your stream highlight personality-driven content. They don't give a shit, right? You're not Ludwig. They're not going to click on you. And like I this is me talking to myself as well, right? Like I'm not calling people out. No. And I think that if you really truly want to grow, you can't do that. You need to instead focus on a core value to a core demographic that is brand new content that is being served through browse and search. And that is the true way to actually grow on YouTube in this day and age. There are too many people doing stream highlights and too many people who have bigger names and bigger faces that people would rather click than us.
Yep. Yeah. I think you're dead on. Nick, you go first.
I was going to say, yeah. I think, for so long, it's just been pounded into us by so many people of like, yes, Twitch discoverability is awful. You need to use your streams and put them on other platforms and use your time streaming, more productively for something else, for something else. And it can, like you've said, it can be really detrimental because you're not making the best content you can for that platform. You're using, your time streaming to make content for another platform. And so while that can be good, it's also you're not putting on a good enough show for the people that are there. And then, if new people do show up, what is keeping them there? If someone raids into your channel, just happens to raid into your channel when you're filming a segment, like they're not seeing the proper you. They're not seeing the proper channel, the content of the channel. So those potential new viewers that might have actually really liked your content aren't going to say, they're not going to come back. They're going to take what they're seeing right now at face value. This is this person's content. Oh, they're not really interacting with chat much. This is not me. So it could be that it. And like, I think going on from what you said, LJ, the better approach from what it seems is that you make when you go live, right? Obviously you have a content plan for your streams, right? Whether it's just, it's gaming or you come up with an idea that is heavily interactive with the chat just purely to make content for the stream that night. And then afterwards, do what you can to take any of that content and repackage it. Like if there's some parts that you can't repackage, well, that's it. That's fine. You just accept that. But if there are some parts that you can repackage, like into a YouTube video or a TikTok, then that's amazing. That's just, bonus cherry on top kind of stuff. Like, and it depends on the content that you make when you stream. It depends what games you're playing, or if you stick to a specific game or a specific type of thing. But I see it I see it all the time where, and I'm going to use some of the Yu-Gi-Oh sort of YouTuber streamers as an example, where they're making content purely when they stream, but they're able to take segments of their stream and repackage it as a video. Not because they originally planned to, but also just because they're able to understand where they can repackage parts of their streams. And so I think if you can figure out how to do that with your content, then that's where you could, that's where it can sort of become a bit better. And it teeters on that same point, which you said, like, oh, the YouTube content you're putting out, it's stuff people have already seen. Sure, it might be that, but then at the end of the day, like, that content's, you're not directing your stream viewers to that YouTube content. It's purely out there as an external funnel.
I have lost faith in the ability to actually repackage that properly. And this isn't purely from my own. I've seen really talented content creators create like 20 to 30 repackaged pieces of content that are really good, but because of the nature of repackaged stream highlights, it just isn't getting any kind of traction, right? Because like, okay, so what I mentioned a second ago, right? Those 100 views, right? You get those 100 views, and if those 100 views are decent, you get on average 700 impressions the following week, right?
Yep.
The issue with stream highlighted content is the fact that those 700 impressions are going out to people who just have no interest in your stream. That is just a fact of it, right? And the problem with, you know, unless you're doing some interesting thing like where Point Crow sits there and goes, I'm going to do this big fucking challenge. But that's a huge amount of time and energy. It's no, he was doing all of that streaming purely for this one video, right? Like hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of filming, and then hours upon hours and hours and hours of editing, right? And I think, yeah, that's fine. You can do that pathway. But you know what? He also writes a whole script. And he converts it so heavily. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, yes, I know you can repackage your stream content and make YouTube videos out of it. But I think if you really are hoping to grow and you really want to grow a channel, you really want to grow something, I think instead it should be you go the affiliate marketing route. You go the actual digital marketing route. And you sit down and you make, okay, I'm going to make a new channel. Who is my audience? And you create an audience persona. You go, how am I going to reach them? You figure out your reach. Then you go, how am I going to retain them, right? You figure out what value you're going to give them. And you do the full markup about your topic, your idea, what you're going to do, and you push that route and you build an audience there instead. And here's the thing. I also think repackaging stream content but makes it less likely to keep yourself around long term. So if we think about the topic of today's podcast, right? The topic of today's podcast is how long are we going to be able to actually do this as a job? Because streaming is not something that you're going to be able to do for the rest of your life. One day we'll all get old. One day we'll all fall off harder than we already have. And I look at it and I go, okay, so for me, I'm a lot safer than you guys. Like I've got Stream Scheme.
Yep.
Even if it's not getting huge views right now, because a lot of the content I've produced in the past month has been evergreen content. It doesn't get a lot of clicks right away. But in the past, when I've released evergreen content, it's never gotten many clicks right away. But now some of those videos have 200,000 views 6 months later, which is true. I released a video, how to customize your Twitch bio. It was one of my worst performing videos I've ever released. And now it's one of my top daily views coming in because it's like 70% from search results, right? And it's because I got it ranking on a really good one. That's evergreen, right? And I feel like I'm a lot safer than most streamers because when I fall off, Stream Scheme is still going to be existing and still going to be pumping, right? I'm building relationships with brands. You see me as an educator. I'm doing all these things that make me a lot more comfortable and safe. If I'd only built stream highlights, when my stream falls off, it's pretty likely that my stream highlight channel also falls off. You know what I mean? Because the audience is so intensely connected. Whereas for me, if my stream falls off and I go down to like 50 average viewers and I'm really struggling, you know what I do? I transition to streaming during the daytime for America, and suddenly I've got the entire Stream Scheme audience and I just do Q&As. Yep. You know what I mean? Or if I fall off really, really hard and I can't get any traction on Twitch, I don't want to do this, but I just cancel my partnership and I stream on my 155,000 K YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things of how long we're allowed to do this, I feel like because of Stream Scheme and because of the way I'm doing it, it's not the same content. It's a different brand. It's a different audience. I am so much safer than the large majority of streamers. And I think that, Nick, with your tech channel, I think if you were like, fuck it, I'm going hard on tech, and you just pumped tech every single week. You just made tech off the tech off the tech off the tech guide, right? And you just made them evergreen, and you made like 40 to 50 videos. I think you'd start getting traction. And I think that that would be, that's so much safer than doing stream highlights for you. It's why, if anyone does, no one knows this because we talk a lot offline, right? And Nick gave me his content plan. And I was a bit harsh to him and I said, you've got too much on your plate. You need to focus on the tech channel. And you were like, I'm going to give it everything a go. I'm going to do my best. And I was like, all right, but I'm telling you right now. And I really do firmly believe that if everyone just picks one external, not attached version that is still them, like I'm still LJ on Stream Scheme, and they instead pumped that, they would see so much more success. Like, boys, let's be real. Look at this podcast. This is not connected to our streams technically.
Yep.
And it has seen so much more success than I think any of our individual personal channels have.
Definitely. I think you also raise a good point because there's the point of like, how long can you do streaming for, or, you know, YouTube for? in terms of keeping you on top and getting those views in. But I also think there's another aspect that you have to think of. It's your own well-being, because I know that when my life revolves all around streaming, which it is, it takes its toll. Everything that is minuscule in streaming is then exaggerated to the nth degree, because that's your whole persona. That's everything. When I did YouTube in the early days, you can go to my YouTube channel and it is like stream highlights or cut downs of streams. But then you look at the early stuff, and I made original content for the channel. And not only did I feel like amazing about it, because it was like I didn't have to worry about all this stuff. It was just me in front of a camera. It was this thing of like, as you said, there's an evergreen nature to it. And also it makes you more creative, because it's like, okay, I don't have all my eggs in one basket. And sure, I'm not getting a lot of views on it, but it's still something that I can learn from, that I can show other people that I'm not just a streamer. I can do editing, I can do presenting, I can do hosting. It's basically a portfolio. And when people go to those YouTube channels, and as you said, hopefully one of them pops off, or one of them that you thought, it's got low views at the beginning, and then it comes into like fashion like a year later or so, that can really go a long way. So I think you're dead on right, because I know that I'm feeling the stress and the burn now, because the pandemic is, whittling off, hopefully, knock on wood, everything like that. But it is this thing of, we are seeing a downsize in terms of people going to Twitch, because they have friends, they have family, they can go out, they can be social now. They don't have to rely on Twitch. So what I am going to do is do more OC. I'm actually excited about it, because it's something outside of streaming that makes me go, yes, time to be creative again in a different medium, because people may think that it's exactly the same because there's audio and visual, but YouTube and Twitch are completely separate beasts in terms of what people want, how you do it, everything like that. So yeah, I come at it from that perspective, and that opens my eyes as well, LJ. Yeah,
I love that perspective, dude, because I have the exact same feeling, right? It's like whenever I release a video on the LJ channel, or when I was releasing videos on the LJ channel, I was feeling kind of crappy about the level of content, right? The only one that I really liked was the Hitman video, right? Because I think that was just me having a really fun time. And that was the type of content that I wanted to make, right? I think the Hitman video was a good example of the content that I wanted to make. And I think if I had done a fuckload of videos like the Hitman video, that channel would have been doing a lot better, right? And that's a funny part of that. But I was also thinking about, I love that perspective you said, right? And I think that's a really good way of looking at it as well, because as I said, so Stream Scheme for the last month, I've released 5 videos this month, okay? There are 2 reasons to that. One, I had sponsor commitments and they got pushed back, and I had to make sure I got content out. And 2, I knew those sponsor commitments would underperform. So I wanted to create more content around them, because the sponsors wanted me to talk about YouTube-based content. And I was like, actually, yeah, I have some YouTube stuff I want to talk about. Are you guys okay if it underperforms? Like, it's not my focus. And they were like, yeah, which is cool. Amazing of them. And I wanted to make content around it so the channel still saw stuff, right? So what I did was I targeted purely VSEO, as I said, right? Purely. But even though they underperformed, I spent so much time on those videos in the edit, just having fun.
Yeah.
I did so much further editing. Like, I was tracking Mr. Beast's face onto a guy taking a dump. I was like, I had this guy like stood out in the yard getting sprayed with water, and I tracked the word good ideas on like all these different water droplets to like fly across him as if he was like getting sprayed with good ideas. Like, I did all this like really fun stuff. The videos really aggressively underperformed because the original CTR on them was really low. Because again, we've talked about this 1,000 times. No matter what anyone says, if your content is focused on one niche, it'll always do better. Like, even the separation of small streamers to YouTube is so high for my audience that they're like, I don't want to do YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is funny, right? They want to do YouTube more than TikTok though, which is even fucking funnier. One's so much easier. But I don't know. I felt better. I felt more creative because I spent more time being creative.
Yes.
And if any small streamers are out there listening to this and they're sitting there aggressively repackaging all their content, I honestly want you to step back and think for a second. If I had to tell you to do a 15-minute presentation on something, what is a topic that you're aggressively passionate about and you could do that without any planning or prepping? Maybe consider making content for that version of yourself. Think of a YouTube channel that targets the person who wants to listen to those 15 minutes, and start making content you're passionate about on YouTube using search intent, using volume interest, using everything, checking the competition on different keywords, seeing what's a good place to start with. And I'll be entirely honest with you, if you're brand new to this industry, it'll probably take you 60 to 70 videos before you start getting any kind of traction.
Yeah.
right? Look at Ambiguous Amphibian. Look at any of those content creators who have blown up in the last year. They either blew up instantly because they got it, or it took them the last 5 years of grinding content till they understood it, right? And if you aren't new to the industry, you're someone like myself, it'll still probably take you 30 videos. Stream Scheme took like 20 to 30 videos, and then we had one pop off and everything popped off.
Yep.
But we've still dipped with the pandemic coming off, but that's fine. But yeah, in the scheme of, on the topic of how long will this last, I personally think it is very hard and it will last longer if we all considered diversification a bit. And a secondary tip to all the streamers out there who, like myself, have spent the last year telling every person who follows them to also check out their YouTube channel and getting subs over there. Maybe consider starting a whole brand new YouTube channel. Because I think that if you spend ages pushing people to check out your stream highlights, do all this stuff, and you build it up to like 1,800, 1,700, 1,000 subs, whatever it is, but because they don't actually really want that content, they just kind of did it because they wanted to support you, they're not really going to click it. When you finally start releasing content, that'll get shown to them. And they'll go, I'm not really interested in that. I liked their stream and I just kind of stuck around. Your CTR tanks. Your impressions tanks. YouTube doesn't understand who the video is for. They think the video is bad. Whereas if you're starting a brand new YouTube channel and you pick a singular niche, a singular target, like a key demographic, like for example, Stream Scheme is obviously targeted at small streamers, right? If I had that, I can go, okay, I want to target small streamers. I'm going to make 15 videos to small streamers, and I'm going to get them in front of small streamers' eyes. I'll put them on Reddit. I'll put them here. I'll share them here. I'll put them on Twitter, do all these things. And when they start getting in front of small streamers' eyes, if the videos are good, they will watch it. YouTube will understand who the videos are for, and then they'll get more impressions. 100 views this week, 700 impressions next week. If the 100 views this week are all small streamers watching small streaming content, the next week those 700 impressions will likely all be for people who have looked up small streamer content. And if my thumbnails and packaging and stuff like that is good, those 700 impressions will click. And if those 700 impressions click, that is another whole couple hundred views. And that means I'll get 7 average impressions per view next week. And that is how you snowball effect through YouTube. And that's why I said to you, Nick, that I thought your tech channel was a good idea, because if you are targeting tech, then every single week, those impressions are coming in saying, hey, this guy, you liked his tech video. There's more tech here if you like tech. And this is something I'm really, really passionate about, because I started as an affiliate marketer, right? Like I started as a video guy who moved into doing affiliate marketing. And I think that perspective I've lost over the last 8 months. And that has been one of my biggest downfalls, is I started thinking like a streamer, taking stream advice from people when I should have kept going, and when I should have kept thinking like a marketer, because I grew because I thought like a marketer.
Yeah. Like talking about sort of how long everything lasts, like you want to be able to set yourself up for the long term. And like LJ mentioned before, the three of us represent, I guess, 3 different categories. We have, LJ, who has a big established YouTube channel, and he's got, sort of that income to support himself and Claire as well, right? Yeah. Then you've got Reapz, your partner, and you do, sponsored stuff at least, once a month, and you've got a good sized channel. Even though, you also still work a bit on the side as well, right? And then, so I represent a lot of the large majority of people who are still working to get there, still working to achieve partnership, to grow the channel, to get more sponsored, types of stuff, right? And it's really hard because there's, a lot of people want to do this as a career, and it's really freaking hard. And, to have it as a career, it sucks to talk about money, but you have to sometimes. Where it's like, because you want to support yourself, but at the end of the day, you're doing it because you love it, because you want to be creative. And I had to have, and LJ, you talked about like sort of like, how we talked about my content plan and to go hard on the tech channel, and I still want to do that. And but I've been lazy. Like, to be perfectly honest, like I've been lazy. And I took a hard look at myself the past month, and especially last 2 weeks. I'm thinking, what are these hurdles that are stopping me from doing that, from getting a video at least out once every 2 weeks? And what it's come down to is like, I've been prioritizing other areas when I need to sort of get myself into a proper routine. Like the biggest thing is like, I think so many people get into content creation And, you know, maybe they'll get to a point where it's kind of like, you know, a part-time type of role, right? You know, where it's like they're treating it with a lot of responsibility and a lot of importance. But outside of maybe the streams or other stuff that they're doing, they're not really giving it much thought. And it's like, from as simple as I need to make sure that I am, you know, actually like I treat this like a real job. Like I go to bed at a reasonable time as much as I can, but wake up and like you wake up, you set a routine for yourself. All right, so here's my plan for today. I'm gonna work on it. And one of the things is that, like LJ, you talk about separating your spaces, which I think is amazing. Like you need to treat this as your actual, like it is a job. It's like going to the office and doing something. And so I had a hard look at myself. It's like, I really want to make this work. So what do I need to do to kick myself into gear and really make this work? And part of that is to create that routine. And I want to make sure that I want to be able to try and start the week by writing a script. And I want to try and, you know, record all the things I need to do. And then, you know, obviously try and edit it by the end of the week. And lots of things will happen. That's my sort of like my commitment is I want to do that. And I also wanted I want to try and start tomorrow is I want to do the 10-minute phone thing.
Hey.
Another convert.
I want to do it. I think there's a lot of things. I think we can all agree. There's all things we've done in our lives that we've started and never finished. And with my ADHD, it happens a lot. But I really want to make that promise to myself and to you guys as well, that to be held accountable. Like I want to give this a go, and I want to, you know, like we don't know how long this is all going to last and how this is all going to go. But if we put as much effort as we can in now and support ourselves and hopefully we'll see the fruits of all that hard work. So that's what I want to do. So yeah.
I think.
No, you go.
Oh, sorry. So I was just very quickly with diversification. I think people are always scared because, you know, when you're a streamer, you should just stream. You should just grind streaming, just stream. Everything should be stream. But we just talked about beforehand that we are seeing a dip in terms of overall numbers on Twitch with everything going on with the pandemic, yada, yada, yada. So why not, instead of trying to fight against the current of I just need to stream more to make up those numbers or whatever, why not allocate yourself some time to actually go after those things that you may not be a pro at? You know, whether it's a YouTube video, whether it's podcast, whether it's something, because now's the time to do it. If it's trending downwards and you're trying to get those numbers back up by streaming more, I don't think that's going to work for you because you're just applying yourself to obviously something that's not going to actually do anything. Streaming more doesn't mean anything related to numbers. But why not now when there is this time when it is trending downwards, you focus on those other things. So when it does trend upwards, you have all this backing you. You've got everything that you've done work-wise on your YouTube, on your TikTok and everything. And you can then funnel it back into Twitch because I think a lot of people at the moment are just kind of, streaming is fun and I'm just going to do streaming and there's no real game plan like Nick said. They don't treat it as a job. It's just kind of like a hobby thing, even though they want to be big. Why not focus on making as much like learning, going onto YouTube, going into even Skillshare. Skillshare has some amazing stuff. Don't worry, I'm not sponsored or anything, but I did use them for a year and they had those like industry professionals and there were things in there I was like, holy crap, I didn't even think of it like this. And I learned so much just from looking because they inspire you because they're so good at it. You're like, oh God, it is that easy. They've made it so easy. Why am I doing this right now? Kind of like you, LJ, with your channel. You break things to a very concise way of doing things. You're like, this is how I've done it. This is how other people have done it. And they've got tremendous success from it. So why not give it a shot? And I don't think a lot of people do give it a shot. They just stick to what they know, what they feel comfortable in, and they don't want to go outside that box.
This is literally why. So when we both started talking, I was like, you go. Yeah. This was what I was going to say. I was going to agree with you. Like, this is literally what I was going to say. But not just that, I was going to add to it as well that, and I'm going to look right down the lens. So if you're watching the video version of this.
Full screen this.
Look me in the eye right now. All right, sir, ma'am. It's fucking scary to release a video and get no views. And it sucks ass. But it's so much better than not releasing anything. Legitimately. Like, what's the point of releasing a video, of not releasing a video? What's the point of saying, well, I'm not going to get views anyway? The only way you're going to actually start getting views is if you keep releasing content and keep getting better every single week. Legitimately. Like, that's it, guys. Like Like when I first started Stream Scheme, I don't think the advice was the best thing ever. I think it was decent. I think the quality was pretty trash. I think some of it, I think I was tired all the time. Like all those videos I first had, I don't think were super high quality, right? But some of those videos now have 800,000 views on them, right?
That's crazy, man.
Like,
that's absolutely
but that's wild, right?
Yeah.
In my first 20 videos, if you go look at them, in the first 7 days of those first 20 videos, they got like 50 to 100 views on every video, right? And then suddenly they all started picking up traction. Suddenly over the last 2 years, now they've blown up. A video that I created got 50 views in the first week and now has 890,000 views on it 2 years later. Like legitimately, if anyone is sat there thinking, my YouTube channel's not doing well, what's the point of keep going? Because in 2 years' time, if you've kept releasing weekly in a topic that is, that people are on a niche or an idea that people are interested in, and you're working hard to improve, 2 years from now, you might be the person with 890,000 views. Point Crow's first real video that he released in the first week got 300 views in the first week because he is a speedrunner and he shared it to speedrunning communities, right? Now it has 650,000 views on it. Small Ant, exactly the same thing. It got 200 views on it in the first week. Now it has like 780,000 views. And the reason for that is because they kept going, right? Those first videos, they aren't very good. That's the reality of it. Love Point Crow, love Sman. But those first videos they did that weren't like guides or other things, they were not very good. And neither will anyone else listening to this. Neither will anyone else at all. Nick, like your tech videos, Nick, you may not like them fully right now. You may think they need more work. I think Stream Scheme is still shit. Right?
Really?
Yeah, I think the quality on Stream Scheme is still completely trash compared to other people, right? But like, I think the thing you need to remember is that if you just keep putting it out there and keep putting your best foot forward, the audience will come if you are focused on who they are, right? If you are focused on providing good quality, interesting content and doing your best. And I think it's really, really hard for people to look at a YouTube channel and they release 5 to 6 videos and they go, it's not getting views, I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I think you just got to push so hard. But also, I also stand by the fact that it needs to be for YouTube. I don't think it can be stream content anymore. I think you need to script and come up with content ideas and focus on it offline and make something new.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, that's
the quality of YouTube is so high. Like it really is so high. And somebody said this trend at the moment, I think it was Anyson Gibb or something, where it's like the person with the most money will make the best videos because they keep upping the ante. Like Mr. Beast, he just keeps upping the ante in terms of videos. So it's very hard to kind of reach that sub-internal philanthropy and everything like that. But I do think that it's not all about Mr. Beast. It's not all about these personas that you see, because there's so many YouTube creators that people follow that may not be in the mainstream eye, but it's still freaking incredible. Like just like Nerd City to me is this guy who posts once a year. And his videos, as he just smashes them out of the park each. I'm on like bated breath when I see the Twitter thing. It's like a new video of Nerd City. I'm like, oh my God, I've got to watch this. Like, it really is this amazing thing that they can do a video a year and still make a living off of it. So yeah, sorry about that. Nick, you were saying something.
I was gonna completely agree. It is scary. Like you see the bar that's been set, especially like whether you're starting out as a streamer or you want to make YouTube content. Like it's scary. You look at that bar and you think, wow, like they're doing so many amazing things. Like, and you definitely want to pay attention to what the bigger creators are doing. You want to sort of take inspiration and see like, oh, I like how they did this and then that, and use it to sort of help your own creation. But you just got to do it. And I remember when I made that headphone review, I learnt from the previous one that I did. I remembered the things that I could do better, during the filming process, during the scripting process, during, the editing process. I remembered like when I was in the middle of those things, I was like, oh, next time I'm going to do this. Next time I'm going to do this. And then a lot of those things I did the next time, which was the most recent video, was I did fix a lot of that stuff. But then you find more things you can improve on. You're like, okay, no, this looks a little bit, I'm going to do it a bit differently next time. And just, you got to, I guess, take notes of how you can just improve it. It's just like do the best you can at the time, just get it out, and then make notes on how you can sort of improve it next time. Not saying like be lazy, just do what you can within the time frame. Like I think I feel like meeting the deadlines is the hardest
release
part.
schedules. Yeah,
Yes.
release schedules are so important.
Yeah.
If like I hate the advice, don't upload weekly. That adds too much pressure. I'm saying to you right now, you need to upload weekly. Because if you aren't uploading weekly, you aren't learning as fast. Mr. Beast always says, right, that if you truly want to grow on YouTube, you set a schedule for yourself, but also you grow with 4 or 5 other friends. If you network with 5 other YouTubers and all 5 of you make 6 mistakes per video, then you guys have made 32 mistakes. I don't know, 36 mistakes? 36 mistakes, right? Quick math.
Yeah.
You've made 36 mistakes, right? But if you're a solo streamer, a solo creator, and you make 6 mistakes per video, and you only release 1 video a month, you're going to take so much longer to make better videos.
Yep.
The reason I grew was because I released every single week and I improved every single week about what I was doing, right? Even though I was solo. Because I would make, so many. And the way I look at it is that I used to be a teacher. So I used to teach documentary to kids, okay, like in university. And what I always used to say to them was, yeah, this film is shit. That's fine. Guess what? Failure is education. Your failure this time has taught you, set your white balance manually so your documentary doesn't look like an episode of Twilight, right? Like, it's like legitimately, they would love that. They would love that because it wasn't just that they felt like shit. They suddenly realized their failure was something that had taught them to be better.
Yeah.
And every failure I've ever had is the reason why I have had any kind of success in life. It's because I fucking suck.
That's that's the thing, isn't it? It's like people may think this is like kind of like, this kind of self-detrimental humor type of thing, but it is so true because once you make a mistake, I guarantee you will never make that same mistake again because you were solely responsible for it the first time. And you're like, that fucked up the whole thing. And it's in there. Well, if someone tells you this is a mistake I made, you're like, okay, cool. Out of your brain, whatever. But if you do it, and if you're the one that has to be like, oh, now I understand, it's so much better. Why? Also, I think, as you said before, LJ, people are scared of releasing a video to 0 views. Why be scared of that? The only thing that you're scared of is that people don't watch your video. Well, would you be more scared of the fact that people watch your video, gave it a crazy dislike ratio and said all these terrible things in the comments? What are you more scared of? Are you scared of people seeing it or not seeing it? Because I think there's a big line there in terms of why you want to do YouTube and why you want to do Twitch.
Yeah. And also I think there'd be a lot of people that are scared of running out of ideas. It's like they have a few ideas at the beginning and they're like, okay, yep, so I can do this idea. Like they can pump out a few videos at the beginning, but then they get scared. They're like, oh gosh, what do I make a video on now? And yeah, like ideas are tough, but the important thing the thing for me is like, I just keep that in the back of my head. Like my brain's been converted to a content creator so hard where, whenever I come up with something, I just write it down. No matter where I am, what I'm doing, grab my phone out, grab my book out if I'm at my desk, and I write, just write the ideas down. Have somewhere where all of these ideas live and put them there. That way you don't have to get into a situation where you wake up on a Monday and you're like, crap, like what am I going to do? Like, sure, there's going to be some times where that's going to happen, where you have to kind of stress and figure out what you're going to do. But
yeah.
It's going to be a learning process, and consuming other content and, collabing and sort of in networking with other people, just kind of experiencing other things will then help you to come up with ideas for yourself. Like, so often random conversations on Twitch, whether I'm streaming or in other people's streams, kind of just give me a random idea. Like I should do this. This would be a good idea for a video. And so just kind of think of it that way. And then that you'll be able to be just more consistent and just kind of actually go the distance with making videos, because you won't have that constant stress of what am I making a video on this week?
Yeah.
Also, spoiler alert, Ludwig has, I think I went through and counted, Ludwig has 11 different video ideas that he recycles every 11 weeks. Literally, that's true,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
he has 11 different video ideas,
Yeah.
and he just recycles them. And that's not a bad thing. They change slightly each time, but they're at the core, there are 11 different video ideas. Dream has 2 different video ideas, literally. You got to. I think a lot of people are like, I got to come up with all these different content ideas. But as we said last week with Mads,
consistency.
No, not really.
Yeah.
You really don't. Like, you just got to slightly shift the idea a bit, right? Like, I've always said, and you guys thought it was very funny, find your butt, you know, like find your butt. And then if it works, double down. I don't know. I hope, I'm worried that people listening to this are going to think that this is the same as everyone else's advice saying to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But this is not what we are saying. I think people are going to hear it and think, oh yeah, they're just saying start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Like, none of us are saying that. We're saying don't just make shitty stream highlights. Don't just like do all these other things. Like, literally what we're saying is come up with a real content strategy. Come up with a real plan and make original content that has value. Okay? Like, that you can do it so quickly and so easily. You just have to find what you're passionate about. You know what I think? And I said this in my video. That came out Friday because I released that one about YouTube video ideas. I said at the end of it, or at the start of it, I said, if you stick around to the end, I think I'm going to say something that'll change your entire outlook on YouTube. If you are struggling to come up with video ideas, stick around to the end. And the final tip I said in that video, you'll have to watch. No, I'm kidding. The final tip in that video is, I literally say, if after this entire video, you are struggling to come up with one idea to make on your channel, it is because you do not like the type of channel you've created. Because if you were truly passionate about the topic, if you could talk for 15 minutes about it, completely just blunt, just completely no planning, well, then you'd come up with so many video ideas.
Yeah.
But if you aren't actually passionate about the YouTube channel you're trying to create, then of course you're not going to come up with video ideas. Of course you're going to fail, which is why I tell people not to do stream highlights, because there's a difference between, for me, being passionate about streaming and being passionate about stream highlights. I am passionate about making interactive content, engaging with people, having fun playing games and laughing. I am passionate about doing education on streaming and marketing. I find those things interesting. But I'll tell you what I'm not passionate about: editing a tier list down and releasing it on a personal YouTube channel as highlights. I think maybe in the future that might be part of my content plan if I grow enough to have someone else handle it forever.
Yes.
But for me personally, right now, I'm not passionate about that. And the content that I'm going to put out there is never going to succeed the same way as something I am passionate about. Which is what I said to you guys a few weeks ago on a podcast. I said, I have a new secret project I've started. I won't tell you what it is. I'm really excited about it. That I'm passionate about. And I'm actually making massive strides in getting stuff ready. Like, I've got fuckloads of scripts written for it. Like, literally, like, I just need to sit down and record it. And then once I've recorded it, it is so easy to turn them around. And I'm going to put it on a brand new YouTube channel away from everyone. I'm doing it in a topic that might completely fail. But the fact that I'm passionate about it, I don't give a fuck if it fails. Because I'm doing something new, I'm going out on a limb, and I'm covering something I care about. And at the very least, I think the fact that I'm going to have like 15, 20 videos on a channel is way cooler and more exciting to me than if I just kept releasing stream highlights that got 150 views.
Yeah.
I'd rather have 20 videos with 0 views on them than, another stream highlights video that I don't care about.
You're dead on. I mean, I just think we've covered this again, but in terms of content, I think people are going like, oh, this is like, start a YouTube channel. But no, here's what I'm saying. If you have all your eggs in one basket, whatever you do in content creation, it's not going to work out well for you compared to somebody who has many different eggs in many different baskets because they have something to fall back on. It's kind of like that recycle logo. You can go from here to here to here to here. Well, if one thing goes, as we're talking about, Twitter, it's been bought over by Elon Musk. A lot of people are panicking right now. Is it going to be free speech? Is it not? All this kind of shit. Their whole world can come crashing down in an instant because you don't know what's going to happen next. If you're a singer, if you're a chef, if you're anything like that, why not try and do something different? So you can do a TikTok. I don't know. You can go on SoundCloud. Just have something that isn't just the one focus. But if you focus on the one thing, you are going to burn out so quickly. And I can say that because that's me. These past few months, I have burnt out because Twitch is my whole life in terms of career. That's my whole career at the moment. And I don't want that. I don't want that stress. LJ said beforehand, that he's got Stream Scheme to fall back on in other avenues, which is what I want because I don't want that forever pressure of like, if I don't make enough money this month, I can't do this, that, and the other. And because of that, I don't enjoy doing it as much because it's more like, how am I going to get by day to day rather than how am I going to entertain people? And I feel like that does seep through at times because sometimes I may be a bit more, angry or shut off or just, kind of like a husk of a person. But that's why I do want to go back to like making content on YouTube. And to be honest, people like, oh, bullshit, you don't care about people watching it. Of course it's going to hurt me if people don't watch it, but it's more the fact that I'm doing something. I've set a goal. I've achieved that goal. I've put something out there into the ether. But I've got something to show somebody if they go, what do you do? And I go, here's my YouTube video that I made. Here's what I did. I scripted it, I edited it, I produced it, I did all these things. They're like, you'll be perfect for this job. And then you can blow up in a different avenue, that you didn't think possible. I'll tell you about a time. Ages ago, I made a video on YouTube for my birthday, right? It was a stupid, I took famous scenes out of movies and I reenacted them with my friends, right? Put that out there. It was just for my friends. I then got contacted by the Sydney Film Festival to do their vodcast interviews because they saw my video and they're like, we like what you do. Can you do like a video podcast for us every second day, with your friends? And I was like, sure. I got to interview Hugo Weaving, like Pia Miranda.
That's so cool.
That's what I mean.
Wow.
But it's this thing of just like, it's just the thing that I threw out there, 50 views, 100 views, somebody saw it. It opened up a whole new avenue to me. So I think instead of going for success is in numbers, success is in doing something that you want to achieve and achieving it. I think that's what you want to put out there.
A specific, measurable, actionable, relatable, time-bound goal, which is to make content weekly or to make whatever it is weekly. And I'm fucking loving this passion today you're bringing, Reapz. I'm gonna jump on your passion and say what you said earlier about the diversification and what I said earlier about the diversification is the reason why I hate every single video out there that says Twitch versus YouTube, which one should you stream on? Because every single fucking video, except for mine, says a specific platform they believe is the right one to stream on.
Yeah.
You know what mine says? Mine says diversify. If you're making YouTube content already, then you can stream on it. But you know what? If your YouTube channel dies, you're going to be streaming to 0 viewers.
Yep.
If you're making YouTube content, you're streaming on Twitch, one of them might die, you transition to the other one. I actually talk about real diversification.
Amen.
Yes. And I can't stand it. Every fucking video I've watched about YouTube versus Twitch, there's been someone sat there and they've gone, Twitch is dying. Or they'll go, YouTube doesn't have the features yet. Whereas mine was like, hey, here's a full list of pros and cons. But you want to know which one to stream on? Whichever one you want. Whichever one you can diversify to safely. If you have all of your eggs in a single basket, you're screwed. And in it, I even showed all of my revenue. I couldn't show my Twitch revenue, obviously, because I have good NDAs, but I was able to show all of my Google YouTube revenue and all of my sponsor revenue, and I gave a rough ballpark estimate of how large that was compared to Twitch, right? Yep. Which is allowed. I read my contracts and I double checked, and that's fine. I didn't say the actual numbers. Yeah. And so I showed all of the YouTube stuff, and I said, look, you guys are thinking to yourself how cool this is, but that is still too many eggs in one basket. If Stream Scheme dies, the sponsors of Stream Scheme likely go away as well. If the sponsors of Stream Scheme go away as well, and the YouTube revenue goes away as well, then I've only got the Twitch revenue. I was like, I need to diversify this between 3 different places rather than having it as sponsors, YouTube, Twitch. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about which one is best for you to stream on. It is about how you can comfortably diversify your content, your revenue funnels, so you can do this long term. And if anyone's like, wow, they really got off topic today about how long can you do this? Trust me, everything in today's episode is specifically talking to the point of how long can we do this for?
Yeah.
That is a fact of it, because as much as I said I don't want my streams to feel pointless, at the end of the day, if you are an artist and you spend 6 hours today making a bunch of art, and then imagine if it's 60 days, that art just self-immolated. It just blows up. You likely don't want that. You likely want that piece of art to be put in a museum for the rest of your life. Okay? And that is what people say YouTube should be for streams. That you save your art by putting it in an art gallery that is a YouTube channel. Personally, I think fuck that. If you want to do that, go for it. But I think let your shit self-immolate if you know, and instead do content that you're really, really, really passionate about over on YouTube and treat that as your art piece. So the way I look at Twitch and streaming these days is, and how I used to look at it, it was an engagement platform. It was a secondary tool, right? It was a secondary engagement tool that allowed me to have fun and test things out and be an entertainer and practice my stand-up comedy. You know what I mean? And Twitch, and YouTube and all that stuff, that's my main job. That's my revenue funnel, right? And when I started having to blur those lines and say that my stream had to become my art or else it was going to self-immolate and I was pointless, that is legitimately when everything started going downhill for me. And people might say, well, that's you, LJ. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That is on me. But you know what? I work with enough small streamers every single day that I'll tell you what, that's a fucking large majority of people.
Yep.
The moment they have to start aggressively thinking about this stuff, it ruins how much fun they have streaming to their 5 to 10 average viewers.
Yeah, dead on. Yep. Honestly, dead on. I just want to also bring this back to, I think people want the quick solution in regards to how long will this last? Well, obviously it's going to be different for everyone. So the answer is how long you can do it, how long you can maintain yourself. But when it comes down to it, it's really how long you can fund yourself. If we are to answer that question, because you can't keep doing something if you're not getting enough income to keep yourself sustained in whatever environment that you are. But we also have to look at the other aspect of like, we touched on it at the very beginning, is Adin Ross. So Adin Ross has apparently been banned off of Twitch. I'm not sure.
Indefinitely.
I'm not sure. Does anyone know what it was for?
So he called his mate. So there's two large reasons.
Okay.
So he's a part of, I think they're called the W community or the Win community.
Yep.
And
also, before we get into it, LJ, do you want to just, for anyone who doesn't know who Adin Ross is?
I'm going to.
Oh, you're going to?
Yeah, sorry, that's what I'm going. So Adin Ross is a part of the Win community. It's a small group of content creators who have blown up recently, and they're not really a part of the Twitch space. Okay, so they're not really like the poggers and stuff like that. They kind of hate all that stuff. They're more like the YouTube creator space who grew, and then they started streaming on Twitch and kind of became a part of the Twitch space, okay? But Adin Ross, he's kind of like the FaZe Clan guys. He kind of like knows all those kings, that kind of vibe, stuff like that. He's had a bunch of beef with Ludwig because he calls Ludwig a nerd and stuff like that. Lots of things, right? But essentially, he called the Win community, I believe they might be called the L community, actually. I'm getting them confused. But essentially, the Win community, what happened was, they've had a lot of hot water recently. They've had different creators have been getting in trouble a bunch lately, and for a lot of different reasons. And a lot of it just comes down to the fact that in this day and age, you can't kind of say a lot of things that people have normalized. Personally, I can't stand when people use the R word for Down syndrome, because I have several people in my life who have Down syndrome, and they're the loveliest, kindest people ever, right? And using that word in a derogatory term really upsets me, because why would you call someone who's a bad person something that I've seen people be incredibly lovely and kind? You know what I mean? And there's a lot of words like that. And some of these communities haven't quite adapted and understood that yet. They're still using it because it was normalized in their high school life and stuff like that, which is true. I think a lot of people in high school, they normalize certain phrases because they don't realize the impact those phrases have.
100%.
And when you get to university, very quickly you realize you're a fucking idiot, right? Like I was talking to a mate of mine, and he said, oh yeah, in high school, we used the R word all the time. And then I went to university and I was no longer with all my high school friends, and I used that, and the entire table just kind of went silent, and they didn't judge me. They kind of just looked at me awkwardly and then kept going. And he had a realization of, oh, I'm an idiot. This isn't appropriate, right? So that's the kind of backstory to that. And this community tends to use a lot of those words. And specifically they used a slur, the F slur for gay, for homosexual. And Adin called up his mate, allegedly, and they were talking on speaker on stream, and Adin didn't know his voice was on stream. Adin wasn't aware of that. His mate didn't tell him that, which is already a blunder. And Adin used the F slur, which is pretty fucked up, to be entirely honest, in 2022 to use that.
Yep.
And then a little bit later on his stream, he was playing music that also had the F slur in it. And there's a whole other list of things and a whole lot of things, and it hasn't officially been confirmed. Adin has said in the past, previously, that he doesn't know why he was banned, but then he deleted that tweet, took that all back. But essentially right now the theories are he was banned because of that.
Okay.
And here's the thing. In that video I said about diversification, I specifically referenced the fact that you can just get banned and lose everything.
Yep.
And this was right after Ludwig moved to YouTube. And Ludwig moved to YouTube, right? And this was when he was still telling people he was banned. He wasn't actually banned. He just had his stream shut off, and he could have gone live right away. But he was like, I'm banned for 3 days. And he memed it up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine if he got 3 copyright strikes and his entire channel on YouTube was deleted.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have a YouTube channel. He would no longer have a streaming channel. He could go back to Twitch, but he wouldn't have a streaming channel officially anymore.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things about all your eggs in one basket, is if you don't have multiple different platforms or multiple different revenues, or for me, right? I've talked about this a lot on stream. What if I get sick? What if, like last month and the month before, because I was gone for about 4 or 5 weeks, I have issues with my ISP where I can't stream.
Yeah.
I think in a space of 3 weeks, I was able to stream twice without issues. And on one of those days, I still had like 10 minutes worth of buffering, right? I made so little money, which is fine because I have Stream Scheme. And you that is like such a fear that people should be aware of. They should be aware of the fact. Also, can't really go on holidays. Think about this, right? If your entire revenue is from streaming, how the fuck are you supposed to go away on a honeymoon? How are you supposed to go away for Christmas? How are you supposed to do that stuff? Because you're going to take 2 weeks off. That is 2 weeks where you're making no revenue. But at the end of the day, that's just like a fact of it, right?
Yeah.
Like in June, I'm going on an 11-day honeymoon with my wife, right?
Congratulations, by the way.
No
I
money.
hope it has an amazing time.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It should be fun. It should be great. But I'm not going to make any money on Twitch during that time period.
Yeah.
And one of the questions we got asked today is about that. So we'll do Q&A, obviously in a little bit. But like legitimately, I don't think people think enough about the fact that you can just get banned, both Twitch and YouTube. YouTube, you might get 3 copyright strikes tomorrow and your entire channel is deleted. And those copyright strikes might not be valid.
Yeah.
You might have done nothing wrong, but the system has determined you've done wrong. Someone has predatorily used the system to attack you and your channel. Northern Lion has like 500,000 subs or something like that at the time. He uploaded a video and the video had a similar title to a movie that was coming out in 3 months. So the movie copyright striked his video of, I think it was Isaac.
Oh, right.
Because the title was similar. It had nothing to do with the movie. And YouTube refused to help. A 500,000 subscriber channel. They refused to help. Within seconds, they were helping Ludwig, obviously.
Yeah.
But if anyone sat there going like, oh, YouTube will help. No, dude, YouTube doesn't give a shit, right? Like, you got to diversify because at any point, you could lose everything from getting sick. You could lose everything from getting banned, like Adin did. You could lose everything for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
And if you don't have multiple sources of income coming in, you don't have multiple brand sponsors, multiple these things, you are in so much hot water.
Yeah. And with Twitch contracts as well, Nick, we touched on this as well. It's not so much the fact that, with any contract, when you work a full-time job, part-time job, whatever, you're guaranteed money, you're guaranteed time off. With a Twitch contract, it's just you are guaranteed to be on this platform and get a certain cut of the subs coming in. That's about it, right? And I'm not saying that's bad.
You're a busker.
Pardon?
You're a busker, as we've always said.
This is why we call ourselves the digital buskers. That's exactly it. We've just given the platform to spruik what we can do and, get digital, bits, we can get donations and we can get subs. Merch also plays into it, but those are the big 4 components of, creating your brand on Twitch. So it really is that thing of like, it's funny you brought that up as well, LJ, because we started the podcast a bit later, unfortunately, due to me. I had a gardener come earlier. And they said, oh, you're just going to do this, that, and the other. And I've heard from your mum that you have a lot of work. And I was like, yeah, I got a lot of work. And it's like, oh, you need time off. And I was like, oh, I have Fridays and Saturdays off. And he goes, no. You need time off as in you need to go on holidays. When was your last holiday, he asked me. This is a gardener that I just met. And I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember. And he's like, well, what are you doing with your life? He literally said that to me. And then I had to come back in here and go, boom. Because it's like, how do you describe to somebody what Twitch is? Because the guaranteed thing is I play video games and like, oh, what a slacker, things like that and whatever. But it's more the fact of where do you go from there? If you don't have time off, you don't have a quality of life that you've given yourself or at least tried to structure for yourself, then what are you really doing? Is it like you're really, why do we do this? Is it recognition? Is it the fact that we want to fund ourselves? Is it the fact that we want to be, creative control of our own business empire, whatever it is? Why are you doing it? And why, in terms of other avenues, are you choosing streaming as that outlet? Because there's so many different avenues, but people think streaming at the moment, especially during the pandemic, is the be all end all because it's come to prominence. It really peaked. And now we're on the other side of the pandemic where it's now going to, taper off. So where do we go from here? And I think that's what we're trying to answer today is diversification is obviously going to be a component, but also really focus on your quality of life because Lord knows it's hard. You 2 beautiful gentlemen have 2 beautiful partners, and I myself currently have a cat on my lap, which is like the closest that I have. So I'm not going to say it, but I'm saying
I almost said it. I said so we're all, and then I stopped myself. I was like, you know what? I don't know Nicholas's partner. It's probably not appropriate.
No, listen, she's up for the bants. She's up for the bants, absolutely. So but I looked at you. I looked at you, LJ. I was like, we both had that same thought.
Oh my god! I know, and I was like, I know where I'm going down.
What was it they said? If you can make a dirty joke without being crass, then it's called real humor. Well, we've never approved. We've never said we were real humorous.
We're not humorous
exactly
at all.
not, absolutely not.
Yeah, but I guess it's more the fact of like, why are you choosing streaming? I think is a big question that you should be asking yourself, because I think about it as well. I've done this for around 5 years now, on and off. Don't get me wrong. The first 2 to 3 years, it was just like a hobby on the side. And during the pandemic, like a lot of people, stay at home, make it a career, and that's where we are. So now I'm also wondering to myself, because you're right. When you brought up the fact as well, LJ, it's like sometimes you just, you feel not creative. You hate streaming to a degree, in terms of there are those days you don't get sick days. You don't get a day off. If you take a day off or a week off, you are going to pay for that ultimately, because there's no income. So what is your backup to that? Is it to get a casual job? Is it to maybe diversify outside? What is the best? Because I also think about, we have to think of the other people in our lives as well. There's us who are really going for it, and then there's the people who are supporting us. How do they feel about this? Because they see our roller coaster up and down. It's not this like everything's roses and I love my job every day. Haha. It's some days you're like, I've dropped off. I'm irrelevant.
I'm plus ratio.
I'm plus ratio.
Yeah, like it's hard, dude.
Yeah. It's really rough. And my friend Adam, who he listens and watches this podcast, and he comments.
Hey, Adam.
Hi, Adam.
He comments as well sometimes on the videos. Him and I represent two very split paths of life that you could take. Okay, so like Adam and his partner, they went down your normal path. So they both went to university. Adam became an engineer, and his fiance is a teacher, right? So it's kind of like they took a normal path in life, and then myself, right, completely opposite direction, where it's like I went and tried, and I'm trying to become a content creator, and even my partner, she does a bit of content creation while she's also studying at uni. But it's like we kind of, it's so funny because like we represent both lives. Like they've went the normal path, they've established themselves, they obviously enjoy what they do, but with us it's like we sort of kind of look at ourselves a bit and going, what are we doing? What am I doing in my life? Like what is going on? But we enjoy what we do, and we're doing all right, and we want to keep growing and supporting ourselves. But it's kind of crazy, I look at other people around me going like, freaking hell, like I'm 25, what am I doing? But everybody's on their own path, and everybody's on their own journey.
There's no guaranteed payday. You know what I mean? Like with those 9 to 5 jobs, it's don't get me wrong, because I've done 9 to 5 jobs. I did it for like 8 years or so doing editing, and you clock in and you clock out, and that's kind of it. And I just got really depressed in terms of I was editing things that weren't my own. And that's what made me go down this content creator path. That was the big turning point for me. It's like I went on sabbatical, traveled the world, and I was like, I want to do something for me now. I've done it for all these corporations. Let's get the creative juices flowing, right? But it is nice because I do look back on those days, and it was always nice to know that I had guaranteed sick pay. I had 1 month, 2 months off, or whatever it was a year. And you could clock in and out at 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And you could sometimes do flexible thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to arrive at work at 12 and then just work to 7 or something like that. Well, with this, it's kind of like, you can't really do that. You can't just be like, sorry, all the followers and all the people who subscribe to me. I feel like I'm going to start like 4 hours later today. And, it's a Friday, so I'm just going to
You can if you're bigger, right?
Yeah.
This is the thing. You can if you're bigger.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can do that until you have a very decent external funnel like YouTube, or until you have a much larger following.
Yeah.
And even then, you'll still see issues with that.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I know that it's so interesting, Reapz, how similar our processes before we got into Twitch and got into making our own stuff was. Because we both were in the same industry. We both did pretty much the same issues. We both had the same problems with what we were doing and why we got into it and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I think it's spot on. But speaking of how long this will last, I know what I'm passionate about.
Yep.
So I know what I feel like transitioning into. If I can no longer support myself with content creation, I know the jobs that I'm going to start hunting for. You know what I mean? Like I realized recently while working with the Twitch ANZ staff, I was like, you know what? If this all dries up and I can't do it anymore, the job that I would love to do is be a marketing in the marketing team or the partner management team for ANZ.
Yep.
Because I fucking love this platform and I love doing stuff, right? Like I was like, that's if I can't be a content creator, I want to be in a position where I'm supporting content creators.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't think other regions really get to do what ANZ gets to do. And I think that I've proven to myself over and over and over how much I love supporting other artists and other creators with the YouTube channel, with being a teacher back in the day, with everything I do, right? And I was like, I'm still really passionate about the industry in general. I'd transition into a community management role in, a different ANZ industry, in a different ANZ task here, right? Or something that myself and a mate have been talking about who are both in this space and both of us have quite a lot of contacts with brands is being a middleman for a lot of creators and brands, right? Because one of the things that I've got a lot more of is I've got with SSN, we have some really massive brand deals coming towards us that just don't fit me, right? But I don't have an umbrella that I can pass these on to people appropriately, right? Like I can't like easily, and I'll be like, do you want to recommend some people? I'm like, no, we don't want your recommendations because it's not an official, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I've got what I want to do. If all this dries up, how long can I do it for? Well, you know what? If I can't do it forever, I think my skills and everything I've done lead me to be able to transition into one of those 3 positions that I've said quite easily. And I think I would still love doing what I get to do, right? But I don't think everyone has the same opportunity as that because I don't think everyone's built the same marketable skills that they can transition. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I don't know. I think it's interesting to have that game plan and know that, when I'm 35 or whatever I am, and if it all dries up, I can go, I'm going to start looking around at all these like 10 or 12 different ANZ brands that I want to work with and see if they have an opening.
Yeah. And like, because of all your time in the space, it's like, it gives you a bit of credibility as well. But I'm the same. It's like, I do have some backup plans just in case, anything doesn't pan out. And like, there's a lot of jobs that go around, like their official titles of digital content producer or digital video producer. So many companies are looking for people like that, for people to film stuff for them, edit it, and do all that kind of stuff.
Those roles are so fucking big, though. Those roles, they want so much for the singular role, but
and
that's
they
a
pay
whole
you so
other
little,
topic.
some of them.
Whole other concept. But but it just depends. A friend of mine, her name is Jazz, and she was working retail and also streaming, and she'd found some success. She didn't quite get to achieve partner, but she did find some success, and then she ended up going for this like sort of gaming role at like the Microsoft store in Sydney, which COVID happened, didn't pan out, but then she managed to get a job as working for ASUS. So now she works for ASUS. And so she was able to find her own path, even though content creation didn't quite sort of pan out in the way that she wanted to. She was still able to transition, and now she's got a career she really enjoys. And so it's like, it's really important to have those backup plans. Like, if you're not willing to diversify, at least have a backup plan, or to be able to support yourself. Like we're like this. I feel like we could sum up this entire podcast like the dude from that old Microsoft conference. He's shouting "developers, developers," but instead it's us going "diversify, diversify, diversify." Like that's what we're saying.
It is. Like I've said from day dot that I always want to be in creative space, and I always want to be around people that inspire me and everything. So obviously we've got the podcast here, but outside of streaming, if I ever go, I can't do streaming anymore, I just can't fund myself. I always want to be like what Eljay said, what you said. I just want to be in a team that can help, that can be creative, and that can help other influencers / creators / however you want to be identified in that space, because that's what really just makes me like have that vigor to go to work, because if I'm just in one of those jobs where it's clock in, clock out, I know me, and I get depressed. I'm just like, what do I do with my life? But if I'm achieving a goal that like helps people and entertains them in whatever sense of the word, I'm so much happier because of it. And that's
being in a creative space fills you with spunk and vigor. Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
And vigor.
What's why are you laughing at that? That's a normal phrase.
Sorry.
Spunk
okay.
and vigor.
Yeah. No.
I'm why? What's the funny part of
it's
that?
just I thought you meant vigor as in like like those potions you drink. It's a gaming thing. Spunk is a fine
vigor
word.
with a U, and it's spunk and vigor. Sorry, it's an old phrase. I thought I maybe said it wrong or something.
No. But what I was saying, so I guess the main point we're trying to make is with Adin Ross is that he had everything. He was doing the gambling streams. So every stream he would do like gambling, and he would get like X amount of money per month per stream. I don't know what contract it was, but it was a crap ton. But now, because he's indefinitely banned, obviously the people who are paying him to do this gambling streams are like, well, he's not viable at the moment. So I also think there comes a time when you do make it, and you get a crap ton of money, and maybe your lifestyle changes to be with that kind of money. You know, you may spend more, you may be a bit frivolous, and
you lose touch with the common man.
With the common man. And then it's like, when that dries up and you haven't saved or you haven't done anything, what do you do then? Because people will always find something new. Once something's new and exciting, they'll jump on it. And then it becomes boring because they've seen it multiple times. That's just life in general, you know? That's why things have a beginning and an end in terms of whatever media you consume. So where do you see, if you were Adin Ross right now, where do you see yourself? Do you see this as like, oh, this is just a temporary thing? Or do you think he's actually sweating
He just streamed to YouTube. He's not sweating. He got a bunch of publicity from it. He just goes straight to YouTube. And he does his thing over there.
Yeah.
And YouTube will be a lot less, YouTube is a better community for him.
Yeah.
Because as much as people don't like to say this, Twitch's communities are very much intertwined.
Yep.
They're very much connected a lot better. Whereas YouTube, it's kind of like a bunch of different island nations.
Yes.
And every now and then you'll be like, oh, I've got a dual passport to these two different nations.
Yeah.
Whereas Twitch, it's like, no, Twitch is a country, and all the states are interconnected, and everyone has a similar culture and everything like that. And yes, sure, New York is very different to LA, and Texas is very different to New York and stuff like that. Like, you know, like a cozy streamer is different to me or whatever. But YouTube is like, we're a bunch of different countries.
Yep.
Right, a bunch of different countries. Everyone codes to different ones. So I think he'll actually be better off if he moves to YouTube.
Right.
I should probably look up to see what he's doing. But if he moves over there,
I love that analogy, by the way.
Yeah,
like the whole
it's a
country
good analogy,
thing.
isn't it? Just thought of it on the spot.
Yeah, no, that was really
United
good.
Nations, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I didn't say those words.
Sorry, my bad.
Right, how dare you change my analogy?
So I'm talking about NATO or United. Sorry, continue on.
But yeah, no, I think he'll be better off if he moves to YouTube. I think it's a better place for him. The same way I think that Gideon moving to YouTube was a better place for him as well.
Yeah.
Because when Gideon was banned, I believe he went to YouTube. Well, he went to Instagram for a bit, but I believe he's probably ending up on YouTube. And I really do just think that there are certain content creators who belong on certain platforms in certain formats, and they do better in those formats. And I think a lot of streamers probably don't realize it, but I think a lot of streamers might actually be better off on another platform in another country. Because here's a really interesting thing, right? And this is just a little bit off topic, but we've really gone off the deep end on this episode. I didn't even ask how your weeks were going. Maybe we'll get to that. But here's my question for you guys. Do you think it's a viable sentence to say, well, I can't make good content, or I can't keep talking because I don't have chatters?
No.
Do you think that is you don't think it's viable?
No.
My answer to this, every time this comes up, is I say, how do YouTube creators make good content if they don't have chatters? Because they're offline. I was like, I always say that. People always say the same thing going, LJ, your advice doesn't work because you've got chatters. LJ, this doesn't work because I don't have any chatters. LJ, I can't do this tip. I don't have any chatters. And I always write back the same thing these days. Hey, quick question. How is it that YouTube content creators are able to sit down and record gaming, whatever it is, for 2-3 hours without any chatters and do great after editing it down, of course? But how come you can't do that exact same thing, but live with no chatters and edit it down? Again, I know I'm saying, you don't about stream highlights, I'm not a fan of anymore, but I'm just saying, like, I think the concept of chatters don't make good content.
Correct.
Chatters are a byproduct of good content.
Yes.
Is that fair?
I definitely say, they go hand in hand.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of small streamers, they say things like, oh, I can't make good content because I don't have any chatters. I actually think that a lot of people out there would make good content if they just change their thinking, right?
Yeah.
Because when I'm on stream scheme, I do great. I make a video. I'm not anxious whatsoever about it, right? I'm popping off. When I do this podcast with you guys, I'm doing great. I'm popping off.
Yeah.
And it's because I know right now in this recording session, there is no pressure. There's none.
Yeah.
When I record for SN, there's no pressure. When you record a video for YouTube, at the end of the day, there's really no pressure in that recording session because you don't have an empty chat or a live chat or a bunch of people to talk to, and all the pressure disappears.
Yes.
And I actually think that if you're a brand new beginner, this is another reason why I say to create a YouTube channel that isn't just your stream highlights cut down. Because it's so easy to record and get better when you have no pressure of having to entertain and talk to other chatters as well.
Yeah. That's what I miss. That's what I miss. It's not like I don't miss the fact that I don't have chatters. It's more the fact that
Reapz doesn't want
I
chatters.
don't want
He
anybody
doesn't
watching
want
me
you.
anytime. Just give me your money and leave. No, it's the it's the thing of like I get nervous because I do see it as a performance, and no matter how much I try and play it down in my head of you've done this hundreds of times with the same people, it's always this expectation of you. You have other people's expectations of you in that chat. And if you don't live up to them, then chances are they'll leave or they just maybe even unfollow, whatever it is. That's always in the back of my mind. I know that's a very stupid way of looking at it. It's a very anxious way of looking at it, but it is.
That's how every creator looks at it.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Unless you're on the up and up and up and you never, ever, ever dip.
Yep.
That is how every creator looks at it. I was talking to Shalaluya and he said that his numbers were always going on up, 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 up. And then the very first month, it went down slightly. That is exactly the same fear he had.
Yep. Yep. And that's the thing. When I did those YouTube videos offline, the original content ones, I was having a blast because it was just me trying to crack myself up with what I could say and what I could do. Like I was experimenting with things outside the box in terms of maybe this will be funny. Maybe this skit will work. I'll film a little skit here. Some of them were god awful, but at least I tried. And as we said before, if you fail, you learn from that. It didn't work because this wasn't good enough or the shots weren't right or what you thought was a joke in your head was actually just stupid in general. But I loved creating something and having that time to sit down and edit it and go, I've noticed that I do this, or I've noticed that I do that. Creating a story, because when it's filming, you just create a skeleton, right? It's just kind of like, here's all the parts and now you got to put it back together. And I love the editing process because it's this great creative thing. It's like making a story all to your own and hopefully people really enjoy it. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. But you learn yourself and what you value more than anything when you're in that editing period, because that's when it all comes together. And when you put it out there into the world and you tick it off the list and it's like, I've done that, so good. While with streaming, you're kind of bound to what people want to see. Because if you're not doing what people want to see, then why are you streaming in the first place? Because you're not there to entertain yourself or do creative things for yourself. There's avenues of that for sure. But they are there because they want to see you do a specific thing or react in a specific way. So there
interact.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. There's always a specific reason why you're streaming, and that is the interactivity. I think for my streams, this interactivity, they want to be there, and I do love it. But there are days where you're just like, you're so downtrodden, you may be a bit sick, you may be a bit energy, something bad happened that week that's on your mind. You've got to cast that aside for however many hours you're live and pretend like everything's normal, because there's nothing worse than going to a person's stream and just being like, oh, woe is me, mopey, that type of thing. So when you brought up the fact that people, they don't have they don't have chatters in their chat to do things with, think outside the box. We all started with 0 viewers. We all did this. This is the time that you should experiment with what you want to do in streaming. Because if you don't, and you try and experiment when you've got, say, 20, 30, 40 viewers, chances are they'll be like, this wasn't what I originally came here for, and they'll leave. So why not try what makes you happy, what you can sustain, and keep going with that?
Yep.
So I have a really good, and please don't hate me for this. I have 2 points I want to say here. And Reapz, please don't hate me for this. Please. Reapz, I love your stream.
Yep.
I adore your stream.
Yep.
Reapz. I think the funniest parts of your stream are when you play the scripted, pre-edited announcements for like whatever your month is.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Valentine's Day announcement
I don't
video,
take that.
the January announcement video, the December announcement video. All of those things to me are the funny, when you are at your fucking funniest. Like you're hilarious in general, right? But you can there's a whole new level of humor that I think was where you shine so well in those pre-filmed and like edited and like done everything like that.
Yep.
Like you bring that awkward, that such a fun, awkward humor that I just adore. Hey, let's go do the subbies. It is
I have fun doing those. It's just a lot of work.
And it is just like, it is a type of humor that I don't think I've seen you pull off the same way live.
Yeah.
Because live is so reactionary.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Whereas the edited versions are so good.
Yeah.
Right. And my secondary point on this is I had a video idea. Okay. And I thought, here's my video idea. I'm going to play Master Mode Trial of the Sword, okay? Which is an incredibly hard Breath of the Wild challenge. It's the DLC. Trial of the Sword by itself is difficult, but Master Mode makes it very hard, right?
Oh, yeah.
You start completely nude and you have to go through wave after wave in these little rooms that you get teleported to with enemies in there. And you start with no weapons, no potions, no food. They take everything off you and just drop you in there. And so you have to pick up a stick and start with the stick. And you slowly collect things through each room. And they break, obviously. You get to choose when to use them. If you use them too early, then you go fight a big boss later, right? Really hard. Master Mode makes it even harder. And I had a thing where I said, every time I die or lose, and you have to start all the way from the scratch again, by the way, when you lose, I would add a new piece of a clown outfit to me. I would do face paint. I would do everything. I would do all of it, right? Such a cool idea. And I thought it was going to be so much fun. And I was going to love it. I went live. The idea underperformed for a live piece of content. And because chat was slow, because my average viewers was like 76, which is the lowest it'd been in a long time. At this point, I was averaging 170 and it just lost 100 viewers, right? Doing this idea. It meant that I started feeling anxious and it felt like I had to make better content for them, or that this wasn't going to work, or this wasn't going to happen, and stuff like that. And looking back to this day, I think if I had instead blocked out a couple hours during the day, turned on the camera to record, turned on OBS, turned everything on, played Breath of the Wild, and done the exact same concept without any chatters or viewers, it would have come out fucking perfect. Because I would have gone into it going, I don't have chatters right now because I'm not live. I don't have pressure right now. I don't need to have a bunch of viewers watching me. Yeah. This is literally something else. All I'm doing is having fun, putting good content on.
Yeah.
Right? But because I was live, in my head, I was like, okay, so this is shit because no one's watching it.
Yeah.
Which meant that the content was worse, which meant that it wasn't good, which meant I didn't even edit it. Right? Because it was bad at the end of the day, but it wasn't bad because of the idea. It was bad because I made it bad through my own anxieties and the fact that I thought my viewers were low.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think if you have a cool idea that you're really excited about, if it doesn't need to be live, if it doesn't need to have chatters, don't make it live. Don't make it chatters. Just go and record it and just be yourself, your unique, funny self, and think about the fact that this is going to be making yourself laugh and making other people who reflect you, because that's usually your audience when you first start out, is someone who reflects you.
Yeah.
Those people are who you're going to entertain. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. And I want to hear from commenters. Okay. I want to hear from you. Legitimately, do you feel like you might be able to make better content if you didn't have the pressure of thinking to yourself, I have 0 viewers right now and 0 chatters? Because I think you guys would actually make much better content if you weren't thinking to yourself, I've got 0 viewers right now. What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're offline and recording for a YouTube video, that shifts your mentality so much.
Yes.
You're no longer making this because you're no longer got 0 viewers. You're making this for somewhere else that is going to last forever.
It is. It's the environment that you put yourself in. You're dead on. If you think to yourself, I'm going on Twitch today to do this idea and there's people watching me, it's completely different to I've got this idea for YouTube and nobody's watching me. You become a different entity of yourself and your personality and your presenting personality, because it really is. I say this to, this is my biggest piece of advice that I can give someone. When you are doing something, do not think of what is funny to somebody else. Think of what is funny to you. Because if you can make yourself laugh, that is so much more genuine than trying to do what everybody else is doing and go, oh, this meme's big at the moment, so let me just, I don't know, add really loud sound effects and a shaky screen, you know? Because that's the meta.
I would stand up and celebrate you right now, but I'm wearing my pajama pants and there's a giant rip in the leg, all right? If
do it anyway.
You guys,
put a big
I am not wearing underwear, so you would see my cock. That is the reality. So I'm not going to stand up, but understand.
We've got a thumbnail.
Yes,
We've got a thumbnail.
Legitimately, dude, yes.
Yep.
This is the biggest thing, right? And I think this is what we lose when this becomes a job, when this becomes growth. We lose our focus. Because when you start out as a content creator and you start seeing growth as a content creator on Twitch specifically, that growth isn't because of some wild growth funnel.
Yes.
That growth is because someone clicked your channel and they vibed with the content you were making. And they stuck around, right? This wasn't because you built some giant YouTube empire and it's all funneled over. No, for us three and for the vast majority of streamers, no matter what someone tells you, the vast majority of them, when they grow, they don't have a YouTube channel. Micromads has 200 average viewers, doesn't have a YouTube channel. Reapz doesn't have a YouTube channel. Nick doesn't have a YouTube channel. And I didn't have one to get to like 80 to 100 viewers either. Neither did Walkerman, Shallelujah, Bizarro Longy. There are so many creators out there who do not have YouTube channels and they have gotten to 100 average viewers. And you know why? It's because they went live, they played a game or they made content and they focused on, who they were and they made content for themselves. And then people who joined their stream reflected and thought, this is a fun, genuine person. And I like these same things. And they built a community of like-minded people because your chat reflects you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And legitimately, when this becomes a job and you start to stagnate, you hit those growth plateaus like I did, you lose your focus about why people enjoyed it. And you start worrying about things that don't matter, and you stop holding the microphone to your personality, and you start holding the microphone to the thing that you think you're supposed to do to grow. And that is when you start seeing failure. I personally believe.
Yeah.
Because I think all of our success, when we first started seeing success, came from the fact that we were being ourselves, we were making ourselves laugh, and we were just having fun. And when you do those things, if you can get people clicking on you, you're at the top of the category, you get a raid, whatever it is, then people will come back because you made them feel a positive emotion that they enjoyed your content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nick, go ahead, please.
I was to say, yeah, 100. Like you're so, like you guys are so right, and I feel like I did lose sort of touch with myself a little bit, and I'm starting to get that back because there's stuff that I'm working on and adding to the stream because I really like the idea and I think it's like it's funny. I think it's funny and
yes.
that it's gonna be hilarious, and I'm so excited to implement these things inside the stream. And I think that's the core. That's what it needs to be. You need to enjoy what you're doing. Like, sure, a lot of that is the benefit of content creation. Sure, it's harder, but you'll get to do what you enjoy and what you're passionate about. Like, not a lot of people get to do that. They'll just kind of get regular jobs. I mean, even someone and sometimes in life, someone's like really passionate about being a teacher or something like that, and they'll go out and they'll study and doing it, right? But there's a process. Like you can, you just put the study in, and then eventually you'll get there. With content creation, there's no guarantees.
Correct.
But you need to make sure that you love it, because if you don't and you're doing it for the wrong reasons, people will see through you like glass.
It's just it's not genuine. And I think a big thing at the moment is we're talking about declines in terms of Twitch and viewerships and things like that. You have to know that there's always going to be peaks and troughs. You always have to know there's going to be ups and downs. And it's how you deal with the downs that will actually make you go further in terms of content creation, because our biggest enemy is ourselves, in terms of how we value ourselves and we see value in ourselves. And as soon as we don't start seeing that value because we think, oh, people not watching us means that my content has gone downhill, it's not always the case, because as we've said, the world is opening back up again. People are going back to work. They don't have, as much time to watch these things. So really value what you do have at the moment, because that's the biggest thing to you. How long we're going to last in this industry is completely yourself. You are the one who will go, yes, I'll continue doing this, or no. Nobody else is going to go, stop. You stop that right now. I'm bad.
I've had many people tell me to stop, but I have not stopped.
Yeah.
I will not go quietly into the night. But it is that thing. It's like you have to make sure that you're healthy mentally, physically, that you have that drive, that inspiration, that motivation. And there's going to be times when you do not have it. And you know what that means? Sometimes you may need a break. Even though it's going to cost you some viewers, even though it's going to cost you some money, if you need that break, you take that break, because there's nothing worse than running on fumes, getting angry at everyone, getting jealous of everything, and going, oh, it's just unfair. I'm packing it in. I'm going to do what else? Really value yourself. Make yourself laugh, make yourself entertained, and hopefully that will transcend and make people get on in there and watch you.
Yeah. I fucking love this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mads. Last week was my favorite podcast, but now you can go fuck yourself. This week is my favorite podcast.
Mads is going to come into our streams and stab us, just shank us.
Prod us, you mean?
Yeah.
Dude, okay. We've talked about this a bit, but speaking of going into other people's streams, I may have dropped by Reapz' stream while I was live the other night. Reapz was doing a nighttime stream, and he was having a lovely time. But Nick, I have to ask you a question, okay? And I want you just to gut instinct answer it, okay? You can't Google, you can't think on it, you just need to gut instinct answer this.
I'm ready.
Okay?
I'm ready.
What language do they speak in Brazil?
Spanish.
You want another guess?
No, my brain's fried.
You're locking in Spanish? Okay, you're wrong.
Okay.
It's Portuguese.
Okay,
they speak
Portuguese. Yeah.
Okay. But I was playing GeoGuessr, okay? And I may have had to ask a little question because I had a geography teacher in high school who told me that it was really interesting because in Mexico, they speak Spanish. And she said, in Spain, they speak Mexican. She said, isn't that so interesting because of the way it was settled? And I trusted her because she was my educator. So while I was live, I said this came up. And someone said to me, oh, LJ, what do you think they speak in Brazil? Because one of the ones was Brazil. And I said confidently, surely it's Brazilian, right? They speak Brazilian. And chat was fucking roasting me, right? But here's the thing. I was confident that only 1 or 2 people in chat actually knew this and the rest of them were roasting it.
Right.
One of my mods joined
The
late,
jump on thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, hey, Lauren B, 1995, quick question. You're from the UK. Let's see what your education system's like. What do they speak in Brazil? And she goes, Brazilian. And I was like, yeah, you're an idiot.
You jumped on with the bandwagon. It's like, you're all idiots if you don't know this.
Yeah, exactly. So then people said, you can't judge it on that. You're an idiot, LJ. So I started talking to other streamers. Mads comes in. I summoned Mads into my chat. I messaged Mads and say, can you come to my chat, please? Come to my chat. Mads comes to my chat and says, what's up? And I said, Mads, what language do they speak in Brazil? And she goes, Portuguese. So I banned her.
Okay.
So then
good point.
Yes, of course.
So then someone goes, call Reapz. And I go, what are you talking about? He's probably asleep. They go, no, he's live. And I go, I won't call him. I'll just go to his chat.
Yes.
So I pull Reapz up on my stream and I write in his chat, hey, Reapz, got a quick question. And he reads and goes, hey, LJ, aren't you live? Oh, yeah, okay, I can answer. And I go, okay, ready, Reapz? Don't Google, gut instinct, answer, straight off the bat. And he goes, okay. And I go, what language do they speak in Brazil? And you just very confidently go, Portuguese, right? Mm-hmm. And I just wrote, go fuck yourself. And I
look at it from my point of view. I get people like, I'm playing this game, I'm looking over here, playing with those people, and then I get other viewers from LJ's chat going, LJ incoming. And I was like, what's going on here? And so then I'm looking back and forth and I see LJ on my stream. He's like, quick question. I was like, sure, man. Are you streaming? I was like, yeah. And then he goes, what do they speak? What do they speak in Brazil? And I was like, oh, Portuguese. And then I look away and then I keep looking back. You know, like the thing you do with like Ludwig's thing? Yeah. I was like, there's no new responses.
There's nothing else.
I was screaming. If you watched my clip is me going,
it's just like a blank screen. I was like, is that it? Like, is there a follow-up on this? So I go back to the game, whatever. And then I realized afterwards it was because of that. And so we've been roasting each other ever since about Portuguese and Brazilian. But to be fair, I don't know how I remember that, but yeah.
Well, you got it. My geography teacher failed me, clearly. It's fine, though.
Was your geography teacher saying it as a joke or were they being serious?
Were they trolling a young LJ?
I think they may have been trolling because they didn't tell it to the class. I specifically just asked them. I said, do they speak Mexican in Mexico? And she was like, no, they speak Spanish. And really interestingly, vice versa. That's how you remember it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So maybe she was fucking with me. I don't know. But either way, so I was just asking a bunch of streamers and different people. Like some guy came in and was like, hey, I haven't been here in 6 months, but I stayed sub to you. Here's a 10-month sub. And I was like, oh my dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. How have you been? He goes, good. And I said, all right, now, Brazil, what do they speak there? Yeah. And he goes, and everyone's like, he's taking too long. He's Googling. He's taking too long. He's Googling.
I can imagine, like, you've got a very lovely, bright kind of room behind you, LJ. I imagine that it just goes dark. The lights go blue.
I went to this scene. Do you want to see actually the scene I went to?
Show me the scene. Yeah.
I did this.
Yes.
What language do they speak in Brazil?
I've wanted to make that kind of little thing for so long, genius. but I want the screen to go red as the black bars go down. Yeah. I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I need to implement that.
I have 2 versions of that. Mm-hmm. One of them, you can't see it right now because the chat source is off. But one of them, so I always look this way because my chat's over on this side of the screen, right? And so one of them, it zooms the chat in as well. So we're both in cinematic. So I'm over on this side zoomed in and the chat's there. And usually I can do it when someone puts a really weird chant message. Like someone the other night, Zoe Knights, who's a lovely chatter of mine, lovely community member, writes, anyone else sometimes just, they fart and they smell it and they really just take it in and really understand what their own scent is. And I press the button, it zooms in on the chat right on her message. And I go, the fuck, Zoe? What is this shit?
What?
And she's like, oh, you know, this is what I do best. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, each to their own. I definitely don't do that. It's a lie. I do. Obviously, everyone does.
Everyone does, right? Yeah.
But essentially, long story short, I think that GeoGuessr stream, going back to things and doing stupid things like messaging other streamers and asking them questions and doing all this stuff like that, I knew that wasn't a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I was having fun, and my average viewers was fucking sick, which really, I think, comes back and leads us to the same point of when you're streaming, sometimes it's just about having a really good time and doing what would make you laugh. Because not everyone's going to laugh at me entering Reapz' stream. They were there for GeoGuessr. They didn't want to see me go to some random streamer they hadn't seen or heard of before. Yeah, and suddenly ask him while he's playing Fortnite what they speak in Brazil. But that made me laugh. It made my regulars laugh.
Yeah.
And that probably made a few people laugh, right?
Definitely.
And as Mad said last week, it's not about having every single person love your content.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having the people who will come back and will enjoy it, you know, focusing on that.
Yeah.
Because if you try and appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's it. Like sometimes you gotta have fun. Like so often I'll do things like I'll do a little skit because I know it'll be funny, and you just want to do it even though it's like a slight tangent from whatever's going on. Like I remember one night we got onto a slight tangent talking about Brum. Do you guys remember Brum?
Yes.
The car.
Yeah. Yeah, the car,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have a green hoodie, right? A green Achievement Hunter hoodie in this down here next to my
Don't
desk.
pretend it's Dream. You've got a Dream hoodie. Dream hoodie. It cost him 70 pounds.
He got the water bottle for 50.
I got the water bottle as well.
Yeah.
Biggest fan. No, so I put the green jacket on and I moved my chair off. I got a picture of Brum and I made it full screen. So it's just my floating head. And I put my head on the car and I was like, Brum. Like I was just doing that. Just like for like and I was just dumb stuff like that. Sometimes you just got to do it for the fun of it, you know?
You gotta keep yourself entertained.
I was in the middle of doing the Fire Blight dungeon for the very first time in Breath of the Wild. Literally the very first time I've ever played Breath of the Wild. Middle of it, I started talking about how I'm going to a kid's birthday party or something like that, and then I'm going to take a bunch of fairy bread. And everyone's like, fairy bread? What's fairy bread? What's fairy bread? And suddenly I'm pulling fairy bread up. We're looking at Lamingtons, everything like that. It takes like 20 minutes. And then suddenly I'm back playing Fire Blight, right? Never left the Breath of the Wild category. Didn't change anything. Average viewers spiked by like an extra 15, 20 people during the process. And it's entirely just, again, comes down to the fact it was... Back then, I wasn't worried about where the content was going to go, how it would edit together, what I was doing. It was entirely just me having fun, trying to entertain people, and just doing what I thought was funny.
It was made for that platform, you know, because again, we do the thing of trying to make a thing for another platform, and sometimes that's not organic and doesn't work out. What I will say, kind of to wrap this all up from my point of view, is how long will this last for me? If I'm going to ask myself that question, how long will this last for me? I don't know, but I always think I will stream to some extent. And by that, I mean, I may not do it full time. I may do it once a month, once a year, but I always think I will come back just to stream if, you know, whatever life takes me in however many years, I definitely will always do it because I enjoy doing it. Now, do I get burnout? For sure. Definitely. Who doesn't? But I do think that this to me is not a platform, a medium that will never be like, it's gone now. You know, streaming was a thing. It's no longer a thing. Streaming will always be a thing from here on out. Live streaming, interactivity, it's going to happen. So if I look in the future, for me, I'll go around as well after what you think. If you see, you can look into your little crystal ball, whatever it is.
This is a Q&A, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Someone asked us, what do you think the future of streaming and entertainment will look like? So this is great. Go for it.
Okay.
Perfect.
So for me, obviously, there's going to be always pre-recorded videos and there's going to be live interaction, and they go hand in hand. It's just people want more and they want to do it in this aspect. They'll watch you live. They just want to see pre-recorded stuff, the lovely edited things. They'll watch that. So in terms of me in the future, will I always be streaming? Yes. Will I always be streaming full time? Definitely not. It does take its toll. It really is the thing of like, I do think in the future, I wonder what it would be like to have a month of not having to sit in front of a camera and trying to entertain people, you know? And sometimes that actually fills me with a little bit of, a lot of pressures off there. Like, it's just kind of like, I just have to worry about myself, which is a nice thing. But yeah, in terms of how long I see myself doing this, I don't really know. I'm going to give myself kind of like a year. in terms to see how it keeps going, because I think that's when we're going to see the real effect of post-pandemic life. And then I'm going to take it from there. But I am always going to continue to diversify. I'm going to do more YouTube content, original content. This has always been my plan. And really, I just want to be in a team environment. I want to be in a creative space. And to me, the way that I want to do that is, do I want to go outside the content creation thing, Nick? No, definitely not. I always want to be in it, even if I'm kind of on, behind the scenes. If I'm working for Twitch, which would be amazing. If I'm working for YouTube, which would be amazing. If I'm working for anything that can be that bridge between, as you said, a community manager, things like that. Something that makes you around really inspired, talented people, and we're all working towards that goal of making the best content that we can. That's where I see myself. So there's no definitive date, but that's me.
Yeah, that's it. Like today, hearing everything we've talked about today, but just in general, it's like this. I've just got this such a burning passion and desire that is in me.
Yeah,
and I would not, like, as we've spoke about in the past Reapz, we wouldn't have done this for so long.
Yeah,
we just didn't thoroughly love it with every part of our beings.
Yes,
and I want to be a part of this whole space as long as I can. Streaming, content creation won't go away because people will always be looking for entertainment in whatever form. Maybe a new type of entertainment might come up in the future. I mean, with VR and AR sort of maturing as time goes on as well.
Huge.
But at the core of it, it's like it's still going to be a sort of like game, like this, the VR AR is still going to be sort of a game, but people are always going to look for stuff to watch. They're still going to look for movies to watch. They're still going to look for TV shows. They're still going to look for, be looking to find anime to watch. So content creation is the same thing, where it's like people are still going to be looking for YouTube to watch. They're going to be looking for live streams to watch. So that will never go away.
Yes.
But I will always want to be a part of that, no matter where, no matter how much I end up growing or whatever. Like I thoroughly believe that, I will still be streaming for as long as I can. I don't care if I'm like 80 years old in the nursing home, just streaming, Final Fantasy 69, but I will probably still be doing it. Like that's just kind of the way that it's going to, I'm just the burning desire and passion to just be a part of this industry. And I'm creative. I just can't help it. That is what I think that was is my my calling to life in a way, is to be creative to my and to entertain and bring something to the world.
Entertaining is definitely a big thing, and I just want to reiterate the point that you made so eloquently, is that it's an age-old tradition. There's always going to be entertainment, whether it's on theater, whether it's in movies, whether it's just singing, songwriting. There will always be live streams and videos out there for people to watch, and that's never going to go away. So it really is, how do you make yourself fit into that environment? LJ, all yours.
So I totally agree with all that. But let me cast your minds back to December of 2019.
Okay.
So this is right before pandemic. Pandemic was obviously February of 2020, I believe.
Yep.
And that's when I started streaming. But there were two paths I was going to go down. One of them was Stream Scheme and streaming and stuff like that, working alongside the guys there because I knew him. And then the other one is a different project, which I don't know if I should talk about because maybe someone will steal it, but I think no one else will. And this was pre-pandemic. Me and my mate, we're both digital marketers at this stage, are sat there and we think, you know what people want? You know what people need? You know what will be a huge business? VR Hangout. And we thought what we'll do is we'll create a 360 video, because we have the tech for it. Create a 360 video, have a bunch of actors or just a bunch of real people, mates, come and sit around it, right? Have one person have the camera be where the person's head is positioned, right? So say you're in a booth.
Okay.
They're in the middle of the booth, and then your mates are all right that. And then people can put a Google Glass on or a headset on, and they can just look around, or they can just have it on YouTube and move around and just sound design it, have people talk, make it like, just like this really hangout, right? And we thought this would be a really cool concept. You put them at a pub, maybe put them in a picnic, put them at a bar, do these different places as like a way for people to just have a little bit of a de-stress and hang out, because maybe they can't always do that, right? And we thought, well, there's not really a huge market for it. It's quite a niche market. But we thought there was a big enough market to give it a go because in the grand scheme of things, there are a lot of people who watch those videos where it's like a person cleaning your ears or whatever it is, or like having a cuddle or, whatever it is, like those stories. And we ended up going, you know what, we'll put it on the back burner and we'll do something else, another project instead. And that ended up being that we funneled all our attention into Stream Scheme. And for me, streaming, and then he brought me onto Stream Scheme a few months later. But what I was going to say is then in about, not February, like halfway through the pandemic, like 3-4 months after, a business started that was just that. It was just exactly what I said. It was a VR way to hang out. For like $5-10, you buy it, you sit down, and you can just hang out with a bunch of people in this VR space where they're real people and it's all pre-recorded, but you just get to be there. And it was huge. And I personally think that moving forward, it's going to become more and more mainstream that the way we absorb content is in a virtual space. I don't have a lot of faith in VR, but there are already videos of people who rebuild their entire office in VR to be much nicer than what it is. They put the headset on, they know exactly where the chair is at all time, where the couch is at all time, they know where everything is, but it all looks nicer. Like they had this old ratty couch, right? But in VR, they made this big opulent couch and sized it perfectly to be where it is. So they could walk around their room, sit at the desk. And what they did was, at their actual computer, they only had 2 monitors. But in the VR space, they rebuilt their entire office. They had like 6 monitors.
Jeez.
And they could just pull up this video here, pull this here, game. They were gaming inside VR on a monitor, right? They were playing Minecraft on this one, Doom on this one. And I think that is what's going to be in the future. I think in the future, people are going to be in their little VR headsets, doing their little thing, and they'll be absorbing content in that sort of space. Or not entirely, but I think it's going to be a much bigger market. And I think that it's something we're going to see slowly evolve. And the thing I worry most about is the fact that I think Twitch is very behind the times on that type of content, whereas YouTube has had VR and 360 content for years now. So I worked in 360 and VR content, which are 2 different things, by the way, but I worked in that for like a good 2 years at one of my jobs. And YouTube has had it for like, literally YouTube has had that now for like years, like a long time. You can just upload a VR video, you can export a VR video from Premiere Pro, upload it, and YouTube will go, oh, this is VR, or 360, boom, and just drop it there for you. And I think that is, for me, in the future of entertainment is going to heavily be spread into more immersive and engaging content.
Yeah. I mean, and like, there are some existing media that have explored the concept, but the idea of like, full dive, where you put something on and essentially you just get your consciousness is like virtualized. That is.
I don't think that's ever possible personally.
Well,
I mean, I just think that I think it's too hard.
Well,
I think it's just literally going to be trackers. I think everyone will have trackers. They'll still move around, but they'll be in a little room that they have all perfectly organized, and that'll be the extent they can do.
Look, hey, anything's possible for the future. We have no idea what's in store, but even if look,
humanity is on downhill now.
Skepticism aside, but like, I'm just talking about the idea. It's like they'll continue to push forward the type of kind of virtualness and yeah, so like but regardless of whether it's like everyone's like got a VR headset or an AR glasses or anything like that, or full dive functionality becomes a real thing, there's always going to be content to consume and people wanting to create content, regardless.
Yeah. I just think it's cool. I just think we've got a lot of cool stuff ahead of us, and I do think it's interesting that I think it would be cool. I still want to do that project one day, where I just essentially we organize like a YouTube channel, and it's just called like the Hangout Space or something, and you just go and you just film like 30 different hour-long videos of people just having a couple beers or having a picnic.
Can I be one of them? Can we be some of the actors in one of them? I'd love that.
You buy your own beer.
It's in my contract.
Or we'll do like a road trip, right? And you just put the guy in the back seat of the road trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you just do all these different experiences that people will long for, people will want. Like think about during the pandemic, like how many people wanted to just have a beer with their mates, but they couldn't, right? Like that's why Twitch boomed, is they needed that interaction. If there was a way to get that would be incredibly powerful. A little bit dystopian.
Oh, for sure.
I will admit. But I do want to do that one day, because I think it's a very interesting project. And I think it'd be cool to see the experience, because 360 video is a much easier space for people to get into than VR, because you can literally just download the Google Glass, the Google Cardboard, and then fold it up. And then you just put your smartphone in the front of the Google Cardboard, and you just look around and your phone's gyroscope handles it all, right? And the video stuff is easy to do. So I don't know. I think that's for me. I think that's the thing I'm most excited about for future entertainment.
That's awesome. We should probably head on over to the Q&As though, if we do have any more.
Yeah. So that was from Jess, who's a fantastic commenter.
Hey, Jess.
Thanks, Jess.
Sukina asked, how do you balance your Twitch and YouTube content if you have two separate audiences? And I feel like the entire podcast has kind of been about that.
Yeah.
So Sukina, I think the only thing to add to it is, I already replied to your comment, make certain times of certain days focusing on different things. Stream Scheme, the only reason Stream Scheme and Twitch ever balance perfectly for me is because there are some days where I've got a to-do list that pops up, and that to-do list purely focuses on Stream Scheme. And then other days the to-do list pops up, and that to-do list purely focuses on Twitch. And that is how it has to be. I think if you try and split your focus where every day you're doing both, you know, maybe it's even splitting it so that in the mornings you work on YouTube, in the nights you work on Twitch. You know what I mean? But that's my thing is separate your spaces, separate your times out. And I think the rest of the podcast pretty much, unless you guys have more, covered that one.
No, I think you're dead on in terms of separating it and making sure that there are two different forms of content, because I think LJ touched on a very important point, again, from the fact that if people have already seen the stream and now it's just a cut down of the stream, what more value do they get from watching it again? Especially if there's no interactivity to it. So yeah, definitely think of doing some original content for your YouTube that has never been seen before, because you're right, the CTAR will go up, the duration, everything like that, it will definitely go up. I strongly believe that. And I see that when I did original content in the early days and put it on my Twitch, it was through the roof in terms of people watching the whole way through. But now that it's just been cut down to streams, it's like 4 to 5 minutes, you know what I mean? And then they're like, I've already seen this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, like, and if you need to, like, take a look at what your streaming schedule is and what other things you have scheduled in your life, you know, week to week that don't change, and figure out how you can allocate that time. And if you're struggling to, you know, give one thing time over the other, maybe you need to stream less. Like, you know, maybe you're doing 5 days, you need to drop that to 4 days, or even 3 days / nights a week. Because I think, especially if you really love streaming and you want to do it, if I think it's, you know, you definitely don't want to go more than 4 nights a week, because I think if you go more than 4 nights a week, it's just way too much and you're not leaving yourself enough time. But definitely, you know, at least 2 to 3 times a week, you know, kind of like find that rhythm. So that's the only thing I can really add, is just, if you don't be afraid to shuffle things around to create a really good routine schedule that you can stick to every week.
Yeah.
Very good point.
I think it's good. Sukina, I hope that answers your question. I hope it is helpful. We have another question from Jameric, who's another fantastic commenter, consistent commenter. They asked, they're going away. I'll summarize because it's quite a big comment. They're going away for a few weeks and they don't want to miss streams, but they don't want to do crappy streams on mobile and stuff like that. And they want to get our feedback and our ideas about how you can stream or how you can keep engaging your audience. And I think this is a different, but also a very similar question when we answered 2 weeks ago, where we talked about the fact that I believe it was Rye Toast was taking a break for study. Might have been someone else, but they were taking a break for study. And I think the answer for this, for me personally, is the exact same. Make a crap load of content somewhere else. If you can't go live when you're going to be gone for 3 weeks, release a TikTok daily. Like, make them all now and release them daily, and just keep sharing them to your Discord or wherever your audience is, because at the end of the day, that's the only way you're going to stay in their minds if you're gone, and you don't want to do on the road streams. I think that's like all you can do, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Just anything that's, and you know, there's really easy ways to make it as well. Like, even if you don't have the most powerful laptop to take with you, if you're going away, like, there's things you know, that can help you. Like if you really just want to go basic level, like what is it? Like Combo is a great one.
Yeah. Jay already uses Combo.
Yeah.
They're in SSN. They're like, oh, this is great.
yeah. Combo's amazing. And then Capwing. If you want to add captions, like, you can just upload it to Capwing, and Capwing can help you, you know, give you a basis for captions. You can tweak it, and then there you go. You've got a captioned TikTok /short ready to go, and it hasn't even taken you that long. Yeah. So there's a lot of really great ways to make it super, super easy. I think there's even, I can't remember the exact name of it, but there's like a little program where you can just feed it like a Twitch clip, and it'll automatically convert it to like TikTok format and that kind of thing, and automatically uploads it.
You might be thinking of Clipbot.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I personally don't think Clipbot is as powerful as Combo, because I've used both and I've spoken to the owners of both now, and Clipbot is good, but it doesn't. It's like it only really works if your thumbnail never changes and the content and stuff never really changes around. You have to like set it, and it's not really set and forget. It is sort of set and forget, but like from what I've experienced with it, it's not really. It's a cool concept, but I think it just needs more work. Yeah. I prefer the manual use of join combo personally.
I'm not saying it's better or anything. I was just offering it as like another option that I'd heard about, because I've not used it personally. I've just. But that's exactly
that's why I thought I'd just give you some reference.
Yeah, no,
but he's a lovely guy. The guy who developed it for Clipbot, he's a very lovely person. But yeah, that's one of the things.
Does this person who commented say why they're going away for 3 weeks?
I think it was a road trip or a vacation.
All I got to say is don't stress so much about what you've got to do to keep the content up. Like, enjoy the time away as well, because there's nothing worse in the back of your mind. You're like, oh, I'm dropping viewers, or when I come back, what's this going to be like? If the thing that we've already said is obviously you make content and release it throughout that time, easy. But also think like if you're away and you can't stop thinking about it, think of ideas that you can improve. What have you done? Because I think once you go away from doing something for a while, you kind of get more, I know that I do, I'm more inspired when I come back because I've had that downtime. Things become more clear because I'm like, oh yeah, I can try this, I can do this. You know, you've got that energy back up. So maybe write down some ideas of what you want to try when you're away, what you can do differently, and what you think you're lacking in terms of weaknesses, if you want to call it that, and how you can improve on it. I think that's a really, really big thing to do, because not all content is about what you're doing. It's about how you're doing it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. I think also like one of the old rules I always said, if you struggle to keep yourself talking during streams, that's probably because you're not doing enough stuff outside of your streams.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go touch grass every now and then so you can actually have stories to tell while you're live. Mm-hmm. It's why I don't really understand how these people can stream for 12 hours every single day and have nothing really to talk about. But I feel like the people who do like those 12, 15 hours a day, a lot of the time they don't have anything to talk about. And it's why they end up with such shitty hot takes and drama all the time, is because they're like, I'm going to insert myself into this hot take, or I'm just going to react to Gordon Ramsay for 15 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
If you want to make good original content, you got to touch grass sometimes to have that good original content to talk about.
Dead on.
Yeah. And yeah, I think like really, like Reapz is like really important to just enjoy the time while you're away. But I think the mindset I think you need to you could try to sort of put yourself into is, instead of like, oh crap, like I need to think of something to post today. Oh my gosh. But instead of that, you want to go, oh, you know, I'm just enjoy it, but document. It's like, I'm going to take a lot of photos on this road trip, or like, there's this cool thing. Hey, let's take a photo in front of that, or I'm going to film like for a few minutes and talk about what we did today, and post that to your Discord, post it on Twitter, share the photos of just what you're doing, you know, where on all of your social medias, because then you're at least keeping a presence there. Even if it's not like your regular content, you're at least keeping a presence. Like, this past week for me, I only did 2 streams because my partner was visiting. But in the meantime, I was still posting photos like in the Discord when we went out, or I was still posting photos on Twitter as well. And sometimes you'll just get random idea. Like we in Adelaide, we have this this small park that has a bunch of like dinosaur bones and stuff like that.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I was out with Kirsty, and I was like, hey, take a photo of me. And I sat on this massive bone with making a really creepy face, and I just posted on Twitter saying, do you like my big bone? Like, there's you don't have to overthink it. You can just do really simple things and still put something out there.
They can live vicariously through you as well. Like,
yeah, that's it. Yeah. If you're going on this road trip, then get people on it, you know, share that experience. That can be the content that you make.
Yeah, that's great. Good point.
Yeah. I think we have one more question today. It's also from Jess, but Jess, the reason there's 2 of them is because I promised we'd answer the VR question, or the future of streaming question, like 3 weeks ago, and we just never got to it. But Jess followed up with, I'm on track to meet affiliate requirements this month. My question is this flood of small streamers trying to do bad networking a common thing at this stage? So essentially, there's a lot more to the question, but essentially they'd said earlier on in this comment, they had been flooded with small streamers pretty much asking to follow for follow and all these really bad networking and self-promo and everything like that. And they wanted to know if it's common and how to combat it, because they'd much rather the chatters enjoy the content and pay attention to them because they're, as they put it, an attention whore, than just obviously fishing for their own purposes, even if it means I miss out on those numbers. For example, my new streamer friend and I have never self-promoted into this channel. We've just been collaborating and we'll shout out each other if that makes sense. Yep. But I can't imagine we've cultivated an area where it's acceptable for others to try the bad networking, or have we in some way? Is this a stage that everyone goes through when they're starting out that gets them traction? What's going on? I guess, let's be real. Yeah, everyone has to deal with this when they're small.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Because it's small. The battle cry is small streamers supporting small streamers.
Yeah.
And then it's just follow for follow. And it's very rough. But yes, everyone has to deal with it. Tell them you don't do that. Tell them you don't want to deal with it. And if they keep pushing, ban them, right?
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. LJ hit it on the head. Honestly, when you're starting off streaming, people just want to get those numbers immediately, and they think the easiest way of doing that is follow for follow. So I'll ask you to follow for follow. And I can guarantee you that no follow for follow when you're that, small of a channel is going to help you in the long run. You're not going to see those people come back and go, well, I've made it big. Come on board, jump on board the bandwagon. I'll get you to those heights as well. It's not going to happen. What you're doing right now by having a trusted person that you collaborate with is the best way of doing it, because you know that you're obviously giving and taking to each other, and not just this, pseudo promise of if you follow me, I'll follow you, we'll check each other out. Because as we've said multiple times, these follow for follow people are following 100 channels, and I guarantee you they never go back to those channels. As soon as they get the follow from that channel, they move on and they do their things. So focus on what makes you great, focus on your content, focus on what makes you happy, and you will see so much more growth than those people who just want those easy numbers. And please, because I know I did this back in the day as well, follow for follow, you'll see those people like get to maybe 100 followers and you're like, oh my God, man, I should be doing this. But then they don't stream. Those numbers mean nothing because they don't stream. They literally go on for an hour. They see that they didn't get their subs or their donations or their bits that they wanted, and they quit and they move on. And then it's just a dead channel. So many new streamers every single day do it and think the easiest way is the best way, when, as you said, it's not. It's collaborating and making sure you do what you do to make all your content better.
Yeah, I understand that, obviously the follower number is important to reach the affiliate requirements. But apart from that, yeah, just ignore them and get your mods to delete the comment. But never be afraid to, like, if you genuinely enjoy someone's content and you want to quickly tell your audience that they should go, they should go check them out. Don't be afraid to do that. Yeah. Like the person that you say that you're collaborating with, yeah, don't ever get afraid to shout them out when you want to, because there's someone there's a content that you that you enjoy and that you think your audience would also enjoy as well. So yeah, just don't let them get to you. I mean, back in the day, I used to meme it. We created a meme called "fuck for fuck," so people would come in saying "f for f" and be like, "Oh, you want to fuck for fuck? Oh, sorry, I'm not into that," and we just move on. Yeah. So yeah, stick to your guns. Ignore the people coming in, and if they continue to do it, like the same person keeps trying, just ban them. Like, you don't need that. Just get rid of them.
Yeah, screw them. Honestly, get out of here. Yeah, YOLO. But I think that's all the questions that we had today. I think most of it is fine. But if you guys have anything, even if you think maybe we've already covered it, throw it out there. Yeah. Because if we have already covered it, I'll just let you know that we've already covered it. If we haven't, then you'll have a question coming. But I really appreciate everyone always asking questions. I think it's my favorite part to talk about.
Definitely.
And I'll tell you what, boys. I apologize that I didn't ask you how your week streaming was. We got off on a tangent and a half, but I'll tell you what, I think we're all very passionate about this week.
Yes.
And I think I can see it now. I can see it now. How Twitch dies, and then it'll just be Twitch on a tombstone. Or how our career dies.
Oh, yeah.
It will just be like our Twitch logo on a tombstone and just the years, the dates.
Definitely.
And
all three of them, like just next to each other, just like
we all die on the same day. Yeah. We all die on the same day.
Your content has a doomsday. Your content has a doomsday.
We all go down together, all for one.
Why did they all? Oh my God! It's like Final Destination. One of them freaked out. They all got off the plane, and now their channels are slowly dying.
Well, this is the Final Destination of Twitch for sure.
I've really loved this podcast today, boys, and I think all of us definitely got a little bit vulnerable today. All right, we all got a little bit vulnerable today. And you know what? We're all just going to have a virtual group hug.
Yeah.
And but I think
don't touch me.
Yeah. I'm going to touch you anyway.
In
And I think, right now, we may not see it physically, but there is a fire burning inside of all of us. And we are very passionate about what we do. And we hope that this podcast either helps guide you guys in the right direction and helps you guys fuel the burning passion that's inside all of you. So
yeah.
I think my favorite thing about today is the fact that I'm inevitably going to get comments from people saying that that I'm a hypocrite or I changed my mind or something like that. But I know for a fact that I'm actually quite glad that I talked about what I talked about today, because I think that it's really important as a content creator and educator to be willing to go, hey, I said this stuff. I actually don't think it works for everyone anymore. Because I said that stuff because that's what I was told, right? And I've always said the same thing. There's no one out there teaching people who are 100, 200 average viewers how to push through those plateaus. The only advice you really get yelled at is Devin and Harris, who again, I have huge respect for, but they just repeat the same thing. Go create a YouTube channel, make content that's on Twitch, and then seed sprout it down into YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that was the advice that I'd been given, and that was the advice I had to pass on to others. And that was my journey I was going on. So I was telling people, hey, this is what I'm now doing. And this is what I believe is the pathway currently. And I think that still is a pathway, but I don't think it's my pathway. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for me in spaces to be aware of saying, hey guys, this advice may work, but also there are a lot of different paths, because I think that's what made me successful originally. And I think it's important as people who give advice or education to be willing to be wrong.
Yep. I think you can't look at it as being wishy-washy, because people may see it as, oh, you said this a few podcasts ago that you should make streams for YouTube. And now you're saying don't do that. And I think it's because, as we said, you've got to live up to some sort of expectation of, if you think you're wrong, then you admit that you're wrong and go, actually, it should have been like that. Because honestly, as we said, there is no specific way of getting successful in a content creation world, because it changes all the time. The meta always changes. But I think at the heart of it, what we're saying is what works for you in terms of your schedule, in terms of your routine, in terms of what's going to make you strive to hit those marks. It comes down to you more so than anything else. You can take all the advice in the world, you can follow everything, but if you don't do anything, then you're not going to grow. So the biggest thing is set those goals smart, do the smart goals, and then actually follow through. Because as we've said, even if it may not hit those heights that you wanted, you've got something out there to show people. Because when people go, yo, we're really interested in maybe working with you, can you show me what you've done? You've got a whole plethora right there of going, this is what I've done, this is who I am, and this is how I've made my mark. So don't just go into the shadows. Don't just be like scared of failure or scared of success or whatever it is. If you truly want to go for it, you'll go for it. Stop making excuses. And really just put yourself out there. It's the hardest thing to do, but once you do it, you're fine.
Put the stuff out there and reflect. Like one of the reasons why, we've all been sort of like, been able to sort of try and go in that right direction, and why LJ has come to that realization, like that we talked about today, is that we've all reflect, and this podcast has really helped us to do that. And I feel like if we didn't do this podcast, we all of us would be so far behind from.
I would be.
From where we are now.
Well, that's it, right? Yeah. As I said earlier, Mr. Beast's whole concept of 5 friends making 6 mistakes a video grow faster than one person on an island making 6 mistakes a video, right? Like the 3 of us are able to make mistakes. Yeah. And the fact that we do means we can pass it on to each other and pass information on and do our thing. And hopefully you guys out there listening to this, you'll make your own mistakes and comment them, because God, please, everyone, help us. I'm joking. But hopefully you can get a takeaway from our mistakes and the things we talk about as well. Because yes, we do have successes, and we've had successes that other people haven't. Mm-hmm. But there are also a lot of failures we've had that you guys haven't had yet. And maybe you'll sit there and think to yourself, that won't happen to me. And that's great. Maybe it won't. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, it definitely won't happen to you if you take it seriously and think carefully about why we are dealing with things we're dealing with and what we're saying. But also, fuck us. What do we know? You know, at the end of the day.
Yeah, honestly, like if you take something away, take away what you want from it, because we can only tell you what we think is right, but you may see a completely different approach and you may be more correct than we ever could be. But hopefully it makes you get to think about this stuff. But as we say, everything that has a beginning has an end. We have reached the end of the podcast. We're dropping frames, but please do us.
Do we have a code?
What's that?
Do we have a code? Do we have a code word?
Sheesh. It's Nick's turn. Nick, call and response.
Well, okay. What was Mads' one last week?
It was shopping for new ideas or something. I'm all out of ideas. I got to shop for new ones.
Oh yeah, someone comes in and says, "I'm all out of ideas." No, my brain is out of ideas, and they say back, "You better go buy some new ones."
Right, gotcha. That's right. Because I was trying to think. Because I'm gonna prepare myself for those this week.
I definitely remember it every week.
yeah, definitely, 100%.
Zoom in on the face.
Or I'm gonna.
What about the bone one? You know how you did the photo with the bone? Something bone.
Oh gosh, man, my brain. I wasn't prepared.
We put you on the spot.
Maybe go with what you said, the fire burning. Maybe be like, someone comes in and says, "Oh, Nick, I can see your." Oh, streamer, I can see your fire burning. And then our reply is, "Where?"
Yeah. Or when you said that, my head was like on the dance floor, like
okay.
from the lyric, from the really.
On the dance floor. You better not kill the groove, DJ. That is such an Aussie fucking old school jam right there.
Bring it in.
My mum, listen to that. Everyone, nobody listening to this is gonna go, "Oh yeah, I know that one." Yeah.
Maybe I can play a clip of it, but I'm worried about the divs.
No,
probably don't do that.
I'd rather than be so confused. But also, boys, how on point was that impersonation?
It was.
You can't
hit those highs that I didn't think you could hit.
You need to really. You're right. We can really see you're clenching your nutsack just to really hit those high notes.
No, I just clench my balls. I'm just like kegel it. I don't need to hold it.
Just like do it. So say like someone will come in and say, "I see a fire burning," and we'll just be like on the dance, and then just break
On the
it
dance floor and then go on the
like
dance
it.
floor. Okay, done. I see a fire burning, and we respond with on the dance floor. Easy.
Yeah,
White boy
And we
dance.
danced it up. Yeah.
We white
that's
boy
it.
dance.
I might even give him one of these.
Oh,
All of them. I might give him one of
do
them.
the eyebrows and everything like that.
Ooh, spicy.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Very
I
nice.
Put
believe
way too much saliva on my hand just then when I did that.
Well, we are dropping frames. If there's anything final you boys want to say, let it be known now. But obviously, we do appreciate you listening. If you come this far, please like, comment, and subscribe. We know it's the usual, but again, anything to help the channel grow and the brand, we really do appreciate it. Boys, it has been a pleasure, like always.
Thank you. Please share where I see, for those of you that share the podcast around on Twitter who make those really amazing tweets. Like, thank you so much that you guys really enjoy it and you put that out there and you talk about how much you enjoy the podcast and all the great, that you think that we're giving great advice from this. So thank you, and we really do appreciate that. But share it around as much as possible to anyone you think that might enjoy it.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's say goodbye, boys. Dropping frames, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.